Away, this is the Astral Future Podcast. Today we have Gustav Borman here, and the lighting is a little bit different because of ESCOM.
Yeah,
But
shit.
yeah, so now we just got some heavy shadows. But besides that, we can still talk and you can still go. So yeah,
Okay.
away.
Wait, stop for having me, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I'm keen to do this.
yeah, me, dude. I'm amped on like that you're doing this. It's cool to be a part of it. But
Away, fuck yeah, dude.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
I'm also keen it's happening, dude. I
yeah,
wanted to do it for a while and then it's it's happening.
yeah. And now it's happening. It
It's
makes
weird.
it.
And this is the first one now already, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
They haven't been on time every time, but I've managed to do it
yeah,
every week
dude.
at
But you
least.
still, it's still
Every
getting
week
out
it's still
there.
coming,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, dude.
Yeah, dude.
It's like
But yeah, to start off, we can go into music, dude.
music, eh? Shit.
Yeah. So, like, how is. Well, I know that music has affected your life, mine as well. We've
Yeah,
spoken about that before.
yeah.
But, like, how? Like, what kind of music do you think?
Well, I think like
Or even
I
just
think
anything
everyone
about music?
connects to music in their own way. You know, to everything. Like you won't easily find people that don't listen to music.
Yeah. So that
So
actually sounds like an odd one to
yeah,
think
it's like
about.
weird. It's like, well,
If
you
someone
know,
doesn't listen
what's
to,
wrong with you?
if
What?
someone told me what kind of music do you listen to, and they're like, nah, I'd probably freak out, dude. I'd be
Yeah,
like, this is normal.
yeah, no,
Like,
gotta listen. So
yeah, dude, the tunes.
yeah, everyone's got their thing, and I think, but like, I feel like obviously certain people connect to certain things differently, but like music, I think is like plays a huge part in a lot of people's lives. Like, have gotten
Definitely,
people like through a lot of things, like good times, like bad times.
definitely, dude.
So yeah, like it's I know from like me, like growing up, like a lot of music, like from different genres. Like when I used to listen to a lot of metal,
Mm.
like that was a big part of my life. And then
Also, you got me a little bit into the metal as well.
yeah,
Interesting.
and
Yeah,
and afterwards, like I have a different perspective of it now. But for that time in my life, like that meant something to me then,
yeah.
and it was very like sort of supportive in a way. Like
Mm.
you know, like they almost say like when music can understand you, where like
Yeah.
or you understand the
Some
music
music
in a
speaks
way.
to you.
Yeah, it's like the music speaks to you,
Yeah.
and it like it's more than just like music. You know, it's not just there in the background. It's not just. It
Yeah.
actually like makes you feel emotions. It makes you like
You vibe with it completely.
yeah.
Now,
Sort of like
music is one of
resonates
those
with you.
beautiful things, dude.
Yeah, no, for sure, dude. So I think that for a lot of people is a thing. Like, and it's weird how like I think what's cool about music as well is like going from different genres. Like when I was younger, I listened mainly to like only Pacific genres, but as I got older,
Yeah.
listen like to everything now basically. You know,
Yeah.
like if it's good, it's good.
Now, if you
And
vibe with it, you're like, I'm
yeah,
keen.
yeah. But like just that, I think like you go to different, you experience different things because of the different music you listen to.
Yeah.
Because you go, you know, say you'll go to like a rock festival or you'll go to a drum and bass festival or whatever it is. It's different crowds, different people that you're meeting, and it's a
Definitely.
different experience.
Although
Different
they do interact
things.
commonly,
They
those
do,
two is
they
like
do. Yeah,
they
those
actually
two.
do mix quite
Yeah,
often, which is
yeah.
sick, dude.
But like when you really go from like, you know, across all the genres, and you had to say you had to go to like an event for every type of genre, you know,
Yeah.
like the amount of people and the diversity of people that you would meet, but you would always have like a common ground,
Yeah.
and it brings
And it's the tunes,
people
bro.
together, dude. Like
Yeah.
it is, music does brings people together always.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like drum and bass crowd and like let's say deep house crowd are two very different people altogether,
Yes,
or
yes,
groups of people.
yeah.
Even though there are
So like,
some that are in between
yeah,
and
yeah,
blending,
yeah. It's
but
it's a like
but
it's a bit of a stereotype.
it is
It's not like
fair
not
enough.
every
Fair enough.
individual, you know, because a lot of those people are like very versatile. So they're not just there for that type of music only, and that's all they do.
Yeah,
You know,
switch it up.
they
Yeah.
switch it up. So but then you get the people that are like, you know, day in day out,
Yeah,
just the
religious
same.
about it, dude.
Yeah,
But some people they just vibe with a certain frequency and they stick to it, dude.
yeah, it's true.
Mm.
Well, it does that. There's that whole thing like how you know the beats per minute or whatever. like
Yeah.
affects your heart rate, and how like it makes your heart
Dude,
rate also
actually,
like affects your emotions and
dude,
stuff like that.
the
So
best way I've had that explained actually is that what's Zac Efron movie, dude?
yeah.
Yeah, what's that shit? We Are Your Friends.
Yes, yeah. It's in that movie, dude.
Yeah, dude, where he explains that, but yo, that's a good movie though.
Yeah, it is,
In
dude.
general. Very
It
good
is
movie.
very well. I enjoyed that
Shout
movie
out to
actually.
that guy for
Yeah.
escaping Disney Channel, dude. He made it, dude.
Yeah, shit. Dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that was one of the first movies I saw him in, and he was quite cool.
Yeah. Also, what's that other one? I think it's Bad Grandpa. But also in general, that guy's
Yeah,
done
I'm
very
not
well in just making dope shit.
Yeah, he is cool. He is cool.
Mm. But yeah, also like the expression of music is sick. Thinking about that.
Mm. No, for sure, dude. Like,
Oaks the jam, but that's also one thing I love about live compared to listening.
yes.
Is you see an oak in it.
Yeah,
Even if it's on like a dude on a deck, dude. Like the
yeah,
oak,
but you see where it's coming
the
from.
people
You
are in it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You almost like pick up on his energy by watching him perform. Like whoever it is, what they're doing. You know, like you see the expression in the music a lot more, and you feel it then.
Yeah.
Like it's a closer connection because it is. It's live. It's right there in front of you. You know.
Fair enough, dude.
It's not sort of listening to something that's recorded or just listen to music.
Well, that's the thing is
All the
both,
music that we listen to on our phones and stuff is, I don't want to say synthetic, but it's not like it will never give you the same experience.
It's not as surround either.
Yeah.
The sound is crazy at those events. Normally.
Not even that, dude. Like just the whole experience of it. Like you can't recreate that without like whoever the artist is being right there, like in front of you.
And some of them just have it.
Yeah. Like I love it. Like if people are like you wherever you had a bra or you socializing wherever, and someone wants to play an instrument or like do anything like that. Like I love it, dude. I think it's amazing. Like when I do that and to always watch it, like whether they're good or shit or
and just jam out.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's a different experience. It's not that person can play you something that's recorded and it won't like you won't pick up on it as much as what you would when it happens right in front of you, type of thing.
Fair enough, dude. Definitely.
And I feel like always watching like people play music, it almost like shows a side of them that you would never see before unless you saw them like performing.
I've seen that as well.
Yeah.
People we know as well that suddenly just show up playing music and you're like, what do you do in your free time, bro? Like all of a sudden, like Jordan also whipped out a guitar once. And
Yeah.
Like, yo. Just all of a sudden, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
Undercover musicians, dude.
That's cool. I always get amped.
Even me, bro.
Something I always wanted to get into. Still will one day. Play an instrument.
Yeah.
It's definitely a thing that has to be done. I always said it, never did it.
Yeah. It is quite a learning curve, but it's possible.
No, for sure, dude.
Especially because you want to learn guitar.
Yeah.
So yeah. And like bass and things like that. Or like just what kind of a guitar?
Just like acoustic.
Acoustic even. Oh yeah.
Just learn to play like basically just that style.
Just chill out, majestic vibes, dude. Yeah.
100%.
Nah, I dig it, dude. But also like the music I'm listening to a lot nowadays is like that Lane 8 channel. That this never happened. Just chill vibe music, dude.
Yeah.
Or drum and bass.
Yeah.
There's also like random on days though.
Yeah, I'm also the
like
same.
some days I'm chilling. I'll just listen to chilled music. Some days I need some gears, so I'll listen to some drum and bass. Some days I'll just jam metal because I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%, dude. I'm also always changing it up.
Yeah. Because it's completely random sometimes, even. Like there's no way to actually plan what kind of music to jam. It just kind of comes when it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always the best. You always jam harder to whatever you're listening to. Like randomly, especially if you didn't expect it or anything.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
And then out of all the music you've seen, what's your favorite live show you've ever been to?
Jeez.
Because I know you've been to a couple. I've been there.
Yeah.
Or that Shreko arriving back inside.
Nice. Shit, dude. I'd have to say, like, I don't know, like in overall, like not even just the artist, like the entire perform, like just the whole experience, you know, like Bring Me the Horizon, like
Yeah, yes.
a lot of people always said like it was a crazy show. They're not my favorite band, but like that, they put on a show, like it was crazy. Like I've never seen like a crowd so hyped up in my life.
Even
like
me,
that crowd
bro.
was,
That's what got me into metal, even
yeah,
though they're not that metal. They are,
yeah.
well, they used
Well,
to
they
be.
used to be. They used to
Yeah,
be.
now it's different vibes.
Yeah, very different vibes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that there was a Gangster Ballet show 1 year at Opie, and that was also like a dude. They were crazy good. I do love them in general as a
Yeah.
band.
I wish they were still
But
around though, dude.
yeah,
Yeah, because they were vibe to see as well, dude.
they were. That
Definitely.
one of those shows was that was sick, definitely up top there. But a lot of them, they're all good. They're all good.
Even Matthew Mole was surprisingly good live.
Yeah,
like his
dude.
music I vibed with a little bit, but when I saw him live and you see how far into it the guy is, I started loving his music, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Like just because you see how much chaos the guy has while he's jamming, you're like, yo.
Yeah, he's a performer, dude. He knows like you, and you can see like he enjoys what he's doing. He's like really into it.
But then also like I think back to Bring Me the Horizon, dude. Like how do you find artists and like while they journey through life and switching up their style? How do you sometimes view that? Because for me, like I won't listen to their new music.
Yeah.
Just because I don't vibe with it at all.
Yeah.
But I love their old music.
Yeah.
No disrespect to them or what they're doing now.
Yeah.
It's just not what you. To their new music. Like.
Yeah, I think it's like if it's a band or an artist that you like really enjoyed, and then when they change it up, you don't always like it, and it's not a case of that it's like whatever content they're creating is not good. It's that it's just not like what you know them as, or like
or what you first locked
or
onto
why you actually like them,
Yeah.
And but like I completely get it, like while bands change and stuff and artists change it up, because like a lot of things in life you can't just stay stagnant. Like they got to move with things, and if that's the direction that they were going to go in, like if they carried on doing what they used to do from the beginning, they might have not been together anymore as a band. Like Bring Me the Horizon as an example. Like a lot of bands got to like certain points and they split up, and then those guys a lot of the time ended up becoming parts of other bands or starting other bands, in a different thing because they wanted to progress or move to the next thing or whatever. But they didn't do it together.
Creative differences.
Exactly. Yeah. And that happens, and a lot of bands split up because of that.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that they like just came up with like new songs and new styles of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very brave move. Like I'm sure they got a lot of flack from like fans and stuff.
Definitely.
They were like, "No, what is this?" Yeah, like I know.
I've
made a couple jokes, dude.
I was also one of the people that were like, "Fuck these guys, what's going on here, dude?"
Yeah, I've also made a couple, dude. I'm like, ooh.
But then later on, when you think about it, you're like, "Oh, just doing their thing, dude."
There was that one. No, it was Kelly. Kelly always used to say, "Bring me the hairspray." Bring me the hairspray.
Yeah, no. Oaks also like to get dressed up in metal bands though, in general.
Yeah,
like,
that's like
they're a lot more like flamboyant or whatever the word is than other genres of music. But also in general, music like musicians are normally like quite the strange types, or I don't know if it's like for their image that they create as an artist or if it's actually their style.
Yeah, I think.
But some of them actually are like quite like
different.
Unique, yeah.
Yeah, like, unique,
like,
very like sort of individuals that like stand out. That like there's you wouldn't like just walk past that person in general, like if you knew who they were or not, or like if you had to talk to them or anything, like you wouldn't just pass them as like the regular Joe type of thing. It would be something that would be like, hey, what's up with this person or whatever.
Yeah,
for sure. They are, I think, it's like that with most, because I mean artists, they musicians, they creatives. So like most creatives are
very
different, which is, I mean, that's what makes it who they are and what they do. They wouldn't do whatever they do if they weren't in some way different from the norm, the regular.
Start pushing out the box and doing all these weird things that people are like, yo, what's going on here? Yeah.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
But
like,
we're all different in our own ways. I think there is also that thing of like, because like you pay more attention to certain things because like musicians get idolized in any kind of like from the mildest
when they're
form to
just
the
people.
most like over obsessed fans type of thing to
Yeah.
just actually liking what they do or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's some sort of idolization about them. So then it create
I
like
think
your
when
perspective of them becomes so much more intense and so much more analytical of everything because you idolize them.
Yeah, that is true. And a lot of people just feel like they know these people because a lot of these musicians have shared a lot of their life already. So you can vibe with them, you feel like you know them, and you end up a fan, and you know a guy you don't know. Yeah.
Well, it is like that. Lots of people met like musicians, whatever, and they're like, like they're not the biggest fan of their music, but they're like, that guy is such a nice guy, or those people are so cool.
I had a
whatever.
weird experience like that once, a while back at Kimon's, dude. I met this other guy, Lucretius, dude. Chilled ass guy, spoke shit, chilled. Dude, like fucking 3 weeks later, I hear his music. What the fuck? No, my dude. Like you would not expect it. Like, he's chilling out, dude, and then, dude, he goes hard. It's all rap music though, but it's fucking great, dude.
Fuck yeah.
Fucking great.
That's sick. Didn't they do a song together?
Yeah.
Or they were going, yeah, I think they did.
Yeah,
I remember that name, yeah. That's sick.
I forgot which one it is, but it's one of them on that album. Yeah, one of his last albums. Yeah. But also, dude, just fucking really dope guy. And then you find out he does all this crazy shit on the side, and you're like, what? Like, and dude, that guy's hands down gonna be like one of the top rappers, dude. Hands down, dude. He's that good, dude. Like,
hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. But also, like, it's also just a weird experience to meet someone. Like, I started getting a little bit groupie after listening to it. No, it's like, seriously, dude.
Yeah.
After listening to it, I was like, dude, I fuck with this.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wait, but it's just that guy.
Dude.
Yeah. Like,
it's
a confusing one to comprehend when you experience it from the other side.
Yeah. And that's that whole thing of like,
see a guy and you're like, whoa, I dig this.
Yeah.
And then you vibe with it and you just carry on.
Yeah. But that's what it does. It creates that like sense of like idolization in a way.
Yeah.
And you look at them differently than what you would at like every other person, day to day.
No, definitely, dude. And some of those oaks must have a rough time living, eh? Imagine being noticed by everyone.
I can imagine.
Sounds quite harder.
You always hear them, and there's always that story of like, oh no, that musician was so rude to me or whatever. I'm like, well, that's got to laugh. Imagine
dude,
fucking
you
just want to go to the shops, dude, and it's like, yeah, like if you're one of those super famous people, like it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. But also, people are just generally attracted to art in a way, like just to see what's going on there, because it's normally just quite like weird and expressive in its own way. But also, there's many ways that people do it, like express that.
Yeah, people express themselves very differently. Like you don't have to be a creative, so to say, to express yourself and express your emotions or express whatever you want to express. Like people can do it through a lot of different forms of things.
Definitely.
Like sport is even, I believe, is like an expressive thing.
Definitely, because you have to get creative to get around the people who are very good around you.
Yeah, I suppose. And it's also like it's...
Because imagine in a sport where you're just up against the best of the best within whatever that is all the time. It's very competitive and like...
Yeah, no, 100%.
You've got to be creative too. To last around that. Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. But it is like... People can... It's the same thing with like... How we said with music has helped people through life. Like it's the same thing. Like being a creative, like whether you are a painter or a sculptor or whatever you do is your sort of method, and that like is like some form of an escape. Not that you necessarily need an escape from life. Like it maybe not to say an escape is the right word, but it's sort of like a time where you are focused on something that sort of like resonates with who you are.
You can learn how to communicate through more than words.
Yes.
Maybe. Because that's also been my experience with art, dude. It's just learning how to communicate where words don't fit.
Yes. No, for sure, dude. It's a big thing.
But also, I like to try lots of random things. But I've never gotten into like sculpting like you though, and like building shit too much. But yeah, that shit is cool though.
Yeah, dude, it's a lekker thing to have. Like, I feel like everyone should have something that they do to express themselves in a on a different level.
Yeah.
You know, like I think like mentally, physically, all of that. Like it affects you in ways that other things won't.
Mm.
And like especially like if it's something like I said, like something that sort of like resonates with who you are as a person.
Yeah.
For that, for you to like let that become a regular practice in your life, like has a lot of benefits to like who you are and how your life will be and
Mm.
everything, because it like for anyone doing something that they love or something that brings them a sense of satisfaction,
Yeah.
and it's not sort of like a temporary quick satisfaction. It's not these quick highs, you know. It's something that becomes a
And
constant,
you're
and
part of
it's
the process.
yeah, and it's literally, I don't want to say it's like a self-care thing, but
Yeah.
it's because you could be doing it something that you do with other people, you could be doing something that you do completely alone,
Yeah.
but whatever it is and that brings you that sense of satisfaction is like, I feel like a very important thing for anybody to have.
Definitely, dude. Just to learn how to find something that you enjoy doing. Like
Yeah,
even gardening.
yeah,
Like some people just can go out in the garden, have a swell time, and come back
yeah,
inside and have
but
a
that's
chill day.
something that's
Like,
it's a part of it, and it's something that they
yeah,
I don't want to say subconsciously enjoy,
yeah.
but it's something that, like, you know, it
My
would
mom is a lot like that as well. She
never be a
loves the garden.
thing.
That's where she was always
Yeah,
creative,
and
dude.
like other people like
Yeah,
would hate to be in the garden, right? But it's not because there's nothing that interests them or is a part of their who they are, that it's just
yeah,
like, okay, well, you know, I enjoy this or I don't enjoy that. But like your mom that enjoys it, that's sort of her space. That's like
yeah.
her that's also like a way of expressing herself in a form of art, like, you know, the way she would decorate the garden
Or
and the
what
way
you're choosing. It's like
yeah,
choosing a paintbrush. It's like
yeah, and what colors to
it's
use,
just you're choosing the flowers to put in different
yeah,
arrangements and
and you
things. And
creating something. You create it. You don't just take all of it there and throw it in a bowl and cool.
yeah,
No, you
it's an
put it in
option.
a certain way and you create something. You literally
Yeah,
just always create something.
yeah. But also like you more one that works with your hands in
Yeah,
general with a lot of things.
yeah. Yeah, I always have, dude. From like a kid, I was lucky. My dad taught me a lot of things, like in the garage or whatever. So,
Yeah.
like, I've worked with my hands my whole life, basically, and like it's also something I enjoy. Like
Mm.
if I'm building something or whatever, I enjoy it. It's like, you know, you
It's
sort of
something
only
you like
focus
doing
on
with
it.
your time. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's something that like brings me that sense of satisfaction,
Yeah.
like, which I feel is like a big thing. Actually, a friend of mine sent me a video link. I can't remember the lady's name now, that talks in it, but she talks about like the whole idea of satisfaction
Yeah.
and like allowing yourself to be satisfied, not obviously to do things that you enjoy to get that, but also to find satisfaction in things that you would never look for, like look for satisfaction in before.
Yeah.
So, and it was quite interesting. Like, I can't remember clearly. I was driving when I was listening to it, but and it made me think, like, doing that, like, because the way they explained it as well was because when people, like, say someone that suffers from depression or whatever,
Mm.
or like a main thing that brings on depression or depressive traits or anything like that, it has to do um, with them like not being able to find satisfaction in like everything that happens around them.
Oh, that light is all.
Yeah, that one.
So now we
Right.
only have one light.
Yeah.
Shout out this time. But yeah, someone with depression and
Like any of that, there comes that sense of they, and I've heard about this before, where it those things can come along because people stop finding satisfaction in the small things. So like,
mm.
and when that starts happening, all the big things in their life also become like they're not fulfilling that sense of satisfaction,
Yeah.
because the whole time they either thinking of what it could have been or what it should be, or something like that, and not just like focusing on what's going on in the moment. And like I feel like that whole focusing on what's happening in the moment, and
Presence
finding a
gives you-
sense of satisfaction in whatever you're doing or whatever environment you're in, whatever situation you're in, looking at it and just for like 10 seconds and just saying, you know what, like this is so like it, what does this bring to me into my life, and how does this make me feel, and like, you know, and just realizing what each little environment is doing to you. And like was like my main thing is like when you find something that you focus on, like that is creative, or you working with your hands, or you whatever it is, you're doing a sport or whatever it is that you finding that sense of satisfaction, and like that is the only thing that you're worried about in that time.
Yeah, it's like a separate space where you can free yourself for a brief moment from everything else and just focus on that.
And those things can all be subconsciously there, but then you will process them all differently. And you will process.
I've also, like, weirdly enough, found a way to practically understand myself through that sort of a thing.
Yes.
Just because, like, it's sort of like a naming the demon thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you know what a demon is, you can slay it.
Yeah.
So, like, sometimes with words, it's hard to try to figure out what's going on.
Yes, for sure.
So if I can dig into a way that I can try to figure out what's going on through my art, it's even like extremely useful for me to figure myself out.
Yeah. No, for sure, dude. It's a big thing, man. I think, and that's a big thing with music as well. Like the expression when whoever's written that song or played that song in a certain way, and the expression that comes out in that, they would never be able to express that just in words or in a conversation or in a mundane way of life, you know. That is their way of doing that. So it's like that with music, art, sport, anything. It's your way of it's almost like, I want to say, like you're showing the world another side of you in a different way that you would never before. Which is cool. Like, I feel like it makes you connect with who you are and your environment a lot more. Like having something like that.
Well, you can share something that you can only know the expression in, and then someone else can view and think anything of it.
Yeah.
100%. But you yourself know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it's beautiful, but it's also like confusing as well. But I like it. Like art often, like, because I've been exposed to so much art in my life, it's sometimes confuses the shit out of me, dude.
Yeah.
But I also like the openness of some of it.
Okay.
Like,
yeah,
like
I know
what
you're
very
saying.
direct with what they're doing, and then some people are quite open, and sometimes I like the directing, but also the openness. Also, like, it leaves a lot of layers.
Yeah, I like it in that aspect where, like, because everyone sees everything differently. Like, no two people on this planet will see something exactly the same. Like, and I believe that. I believe that.
No, I strongly believe the same thing as well.
So,
we live very different lives.
Yeah.
You could have a twin in a room growing up with another twin. They do the exact same thing the entire life. They're different people.
Yeah.
Like.
No, 100%, dude. Like, we're all different. So, like, I lost my train of thought there. What I was saying.
We were talking about, like, art, and that we're all different people in the way we, like, experience it and view different things.
Yeah.
Like, changes amongst all of us. And the different perspectives and how we take it in a way.
Yeah, we all see everything differently. So with art, I love that, like, say little art, like a painting or something, you know, everyone will look at it, and that will make them feel a certain way, make them have their own perspective of it, and it'll be completely different. There might be similarities, of course, amongst people, but I mean, like, everyone's going to see everything differently, and I think it's like that with, like, everything in life.
People relate to it in different levels.
Yeah.
Even with general communication, we have that. Like, you can try and express an idea, but someone could relate to it on a completely different level.
Yeah.
And pick up the wrong thing altogether.
Yeah. And that's funny. Like, that's one thing I've sort of, I can say, I've, like, picked up in life. And like, when I was younger, I was very naive towards it, like, thinking that, you know, like, a lot of people would think in a certain way and, do things in a certain way or whatever. But it's cool to realize and like understand that like everyone is so different, and we can't to see things for like how we see them, because everyone's seeing it completely different.
Yeah.
Like you and I could be in the same place looking at the same people, and we would have our different views and different perspectives of the entire situation.
Well, also this, I can tell you this is grey, but I can also tell you it's fake suede, and I can I can tell you this is a frame underneath here. I can tell you, like, when someone looks at something, they can look at it on so many levels. Never mind just the color, and then me and you can also be seeing a different color. Never mind that, because our eyes respond differently in the light, or this or that, or.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that like to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
Because like they have proven that like we all see the same colors and stuff like that. So.
Well, at least, dude, because I was always confused, dude. Because like this is orange.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I was told this is orange.
That could look purple to me, but I've just called it orange because I've associated a name to whatever I'm seeing. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
That's always one thing that confused me a little bit as well.
Yeah.
In that aspect.
And also, I thought about it hard, but then I actually found out that it's scientifically proved that we all see the same color.
Also, watched something that with Neil deGrasse Tyson explaining something once. I honestly don't like the guy, but I still listen to him because he's interesting.
That's that guy. I think I know which guy you're talking about.
Yeah, but that guy one day was explaining colors and how what a color is actually doing is signaling everything it's not.
Okay.
Because it's the only color it's not is the only color it's not reflecting or something like that.
Yeah.
I'll have to find you the video to explain it because I can't word for word that shit. Or even possibly get it right or wrong. But yeah, I'll show you that, dude. And it's actually very interesting to listen to because it just opens up a different door of colors where I've never actually had that explained before. And it's weird because in art college I was literally explain colors and fucking Pantones and like all of it, like.
Yeah.
And it was just a very weird perspective to see it from a back door of like a science perspective.
Even. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. I've been so like, I don't want to say thrown off track, but like, there's a lot of things that like make you like, they can easily distract you in life from like paying attention to like things that you should, like just also with like finding satisfaction in things, and just sort of you can't live in the now constantly, but to at least every day, once a day, connect with like what your immediate like surroundings or whatever.
I don't know, dude. I have a weird argument to that because but I've also been working on it for years. But I can bring myself quite presently often, like most of the day even.
Okay.
I don't know how I acquired this. I might just be sitting there and forcing myself to.
Yes.
But like what I pretty much learned from that is everything in the past is just stuff that I've learned.
Yeah.
That like is useful to me now.
Yeah.
And everything in the future will be whatever comes.
Yes.
But presently, all the knowledge I carry is from the past, obviously.
Yes.
You can't not hold on to the past or have any of the past involved in your life. That's also not.
Yeah, it's not possible.
Realistic.
Yeah.
But I believe presently it all exists at once.
Yeah.
Because you can access the past, you can access thoughts of the future, you can access all of it from the present.
100%. I think it's just more of a case of like, not planning for the future, but thinking ahead, because like that also comes down to like, creating a goal or creating an idea or manifesting something that like doesn't, so to say, exist, but it exists there, and you create that. You let it happen, and you form the steps to get there. But like, that's why I'm saying like you can't always be in the present, because in that time, like you will only focus on what is happening immediately around you, and not think of a further idea, you'll just keep reliving the same idea because you'll just keep manifesting the same thing.
Yeah. But also, like, another way I see it is, yes, goals, yes, all of this, and like you must always think about the future. It is still important,
Yeah.
but you must also presently move towards it.
Yeah.
And like actively take part in those goals every time you can to reach that further goal. Or
Yes.
whatever naturally unfolds to help you on that journey.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I say like you at least got to reconnect every day and look at your immediate sort of environment and say, okay, how does this environment and where am I and what is all going on here? Actually, just pay attention and look at what's going around you. Like,
yeah,
everything that you're doing. Like, I feel like the more attention you pay to every detail in everything in your life, the more you understand things. And I feel with anything, the more you understand things, the easier it is.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to understand everything, and nothing in life comes easy,
Yeah.
or but
Yeah.
when you actually pay attention to whatever situation or whatever it is that you're in life, and analyzing it and sort of saying and understanding how that makes you feel as a person, where that is playing a part of your life, of where you want to be, or where you were, or just, is this like something I'm looking at further? Is this something that's just a now thing? Whatever it is, and just actually just paying attention to the details, because it's so easy to just let everything like just fly by you.
Yeah.
And you're not
especially
paying
with
attention.
Stress. It happens so quickly that
Yeah,
when
with
you're stressed out, it
yeah,
can fade out
everything. You don't function
because
properly.
it's a lot going on at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people are different. Some people handle stress. Stress is a funny thing, dude. Like, a lot of people handle stress very differently, I think.
The thing is, some people need it to get grafting, and then
Yeah,
some people
yeah.
it can stop them completely.
Yeah, that like paralyzes it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Some people will act irrational. Other people will like double down. Other people will.
It's completely random.
Yeah.
But also, it's one of those things that some of us like access often, but also it's kind of new every time. What hits you?
Yeah, it
Like
depends.
it's
Like,
sometimes it's similar things, but sometimes
yeah.
it's just like, fuck, how do I?
If
like,
it's a regular thing, say like for instance, like a person's got a certain stress in their job, and that's an everyday thing that comes with the job or whatever. Or even if it's not a job, it's a daily thing in their life, like a daily practice that generates some sort of stress for them. They will at some point it doesn't get better. You just get used to it, or you learn how to deal with it differently, because it becomes so constant. Where then like something else will happen and it creates a different type of stress, and you won't handle that well at all, and not know what to do.
So, yeah.
So everything's different. You can have a general perception, and like, I don't want to say try to control the emotion, but like the emotions that stress can cause, like to try not let that come by, and actually focus that energy that your body would use to like generate that, and generate those feelings, and generate, say you get anxiety, or you like just whatever it is that makes you feel like, if you can try focus that energy into actually analyzing the like whatever it is that's causing it, and seeing like, is there something I can change? Is there something I just must adapt to? Is this whatever it is? But focusing the energy on what the actual obstacle is, and not just allowing that energy to overcome you, and like it's not going to help at all. You're just going to be stressed out, and like sitting in the same process, and then that'll just become a repetitive process, and then you just used to, whenever that type of stress or that type of scenario happens in life, you just react with it in the same way, because that's like all you knew how to do, or that was your first instinct, and you're like, okay, well, I handled that like that, so and you just repetitively keep going in. Like, patterns in life can like occur very, very quickly, like, and it's things that you won't even take, like, that you won't even notice in everyday life, but it's a pattern. It's something that you repetitively doing.
And well, that's also the one confusing thing about presence then as well, is sometimes get lost so far in the present as well, because you get lost in the present as much as you can in the past or the future.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like,
and then
that,
you can also
the whole lost in the moment type of thing.
Yeah,
Like,
and you could start forgetting about the other things and how you've affected,
yeah.
It can happen quite easily.
That whole like
to
spur of the
any of us.
moment thing, like people
Yeah.
do irrational things, spur of the moment because of that immediate like moment or whatever's happening to them.
Yeah.
And they will make decisions or do things that like they would never do if they actually thought about it.
Yeah.
Or it was a planned thing or whatever. They were literally just in that moment. That's all they cared about.
Yeah.
That's all they were going to do. That's where they focused all their energy went into.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is the spontaneity of some of it is sometimes beautiful, and then sometimes it's just like could affect your life for a long time if you do a rash decision very quickly.
No, 100%. It's like gambling, dude.
Yeah.
Spontaneous things are normally a gamble, whatever it is that you're doing.
But sometimes you got to also need to take chances.
Do you know what it
I
is?
also hit a stage in my life where I started stagnating and stopped taking chances, which I had to get through, which is also like.
Yeah, it's very easy. It's a pattern. It's a pattern that just forms. Like it's ridiculous how fast patterns in life can like just start happening. They just create themselves. And okay, well we create them, but we will often create things subconsciously, create patterns and habits and everything. Like it's funny, like everyone in life. Like I heard something when I was a kid, and they said that like every 7 years your life changes. Like whether you wanted to or you make it change or whatever, it's going to change.
Yeah.
Like it's some type of cycle. And I don't know if it's just because I paid attention to it and I then created that idea and linked that idea to situations in life where I looked at it and then said, oh no, but the 7 year thing.
Yeah. But also like scientifically that is proven as well. It's like the fundamentals, and then beyond that it's like puberty, let's say, and then beyond that it's your
different stages
your
of
adult years,
your,
and then after that it's your adult years, and then after that it's your
because our bodies are constantly like
and
developing and changing,
growing into different stages of life.
And
you change throughout all of them.
100%.
Like, we're different people in school. We're different people.
No, through our whole lives, we
so
in some way have changed, and our environments have changed.
And arguably after 21, I changed quite a bit as well. So there was also one of those 7s, dude.
And I feel like everyone in our age group, I feel like everyone, we know, is now like also going. Their lives are like hitting the next pinnacle. And it's reaching that 7-year mark. It's reaching that 7-year mark, and it's crazy. But it's something that like it has to happen. It has to. You can't allow it to become stagnant. Like you need to go with change, and you need to like always be prepared for change. And like that thing I was listening to the other day, the lady made a good point, and she said like it's with people that like create patterns and stuff in life. Now, anyone that wants to make a change in their life, you can think about it as much as you want. You can talk about it as much as you want. You got to do it. But the problem is, for any person, some people can do it easier or find it easier to do than others. But you've got to change. And well, this is what you said. You can't expect to change your whole life. But if you want certain changes to happen, you've got to do what you would always do, just a little differently. You still got to live as who you are, but you got to do it a little differently. You got to change some things. You got to alter certain things, and making those small changes to each and every little aspect creates a result at the end. Because
you got to find. You got to start somewhere.
Because you must understand, like, you
work towards it, you'll get to the
whatever
point.
age you're at, that you want to make a change for whatever reason. If like you've got to now, you can't unlearn everything that you've known your whole life, and think that okay, cool, in a year's time, have this idea and say, okay, I've got to do this and do that to get there, and then try live your life completely differently and think completely differently and be completely different. within a year. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, it takes time.
It takes time.
You might pass the major obstacles quickly, but the work never ends.
Yeah.
Like
It's a constant practice because it's so easy to go back into old habits, old patterns, and stuff like that. So you got to constantly, like every day, just apply something, and it's like you just apply a small thing to everything. Once that thing becomes a pattern, you apply it to something else, and you apply it to this, or you do that differently. Because trying to do everything at once can sometimes be like
cold turkey is rough on the system.
Yeah, for anything.
Very rough, because also you start changing your habits so much that you start to treat all of those things as one thing.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like, oh, let's say with the vegetarian thing now, if I cheated on that, will I suddenly start falling into my bad habits because now I'm a fucker?
Yeah.
Or did I just...
You're like, I did it once, end up doing it again.
That's the thing, is like quickly you can start assigning these tags on these things, and you can let them slip you away.
That's the thing, like your brain.
I've thought about that before,
yeah, but it's something you ate meat growing up.
Yeah.
So for so long in your life, your brain, your everything, like who you are, has that pattern of consuming meat in your life. So whenever, say, you had to slip up, it that pattern never went away.
Yeah.
You just haven't been using it. You haven't been applying that pattern. You've like.
But that's also,
packed it away, so to say.
Like also, like at the beginning when I got into this at first, when I'd still eat meat every now and then, I started noticing like it would bring up weird behavior.
Yeah.
When I ate meat, and like only now I realized I was only associating it with it. But at the time I was like, oh, every time I eat meat, I start doing this or that, or like, why do I start thinking like this? Or, but I was just blaming something because
you were just associating what was happening with
but it was actually not relevant to each other.
Yeah.
Like I feel healthier because of the vegetarian thing, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, but the rest was just it's sort of things that you assign different
and
tags on.
People do that with I feel like with everything in life. Like I always find it funny because, like, say, not like in a superstitious way, but like say something unpleasant happens to someone in the morning, and then something else will happen later in the day. They immediately associate the two, and say this happened because of that. Where that could not be the case at all, but it's just because now they.
But there was also like some hours in between where anything could have happened. You're just tagging those two events of your day.
Yeah, and associating, say, one bad thing with another bad. I'll be like, oh, this shitty thing happened today because that shitty thing happened this morning. And it could be completely unrelated.
Yeah.
But you just associate the two, and like, I also feel like that's a thing in life that's, in some way, there's how we associate everything with something.
Yeah. Well, even this is the root cause of racism and all of these things, like generalization.
Yeah.
It's like we're all humans. We can think about it in that box. Or we can think about it as in we're all beings of Earth. So every animal, like it's not an animal, it's a being of Earth.
Yeah.
So you can think about it in that package. Or you can be like, oh, we're humans, but that one's black, that one's white. Like it's just...
That's what it also, like, it comes down to, like what I was saying earlier.
Generalizing. So when you fit into boxes certain things, you'll be like, okay, that's that, this is that. But it's also your sorting system in a way.
Yeah.
Which is confusing. It just depends on what someone uses their sorting system as.
Yes.
But also there's one thing we often forget is, like, let's say the older generation and something like racism or something, like they were fed so much propaganda and indoctrination that it changed.
Yeah, but it's because it's what they knew. It was their patterns.
But that's the thing, is like we right now know there's propaganda in there.
Yeah.
But that's because we've been exposed to the internet, which can tell us, hey, that's bullshit, this is not. But now we don't know what's real either.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was basically you are told something, and you got to sort of believe it or not. But that's what someone told you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people carry, like you say, patterns that are hard to undo because you were brought up in a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's confusing for everyone to let go of those grudges and those previous things or whatever shit you were fed.
It's crazy. Like they say that, like, also the 7-year thing, but like the first 7 years of like a human's life literally dictates how they will be for the rest of their life. They might be able to change those things, but that is not like making changes to make like positive changes in your life to affect things. That is would literally have to be like becoming a completely different person. Like, you know, like deleting everything, which is impossible.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how like when I heard about that and how the first 7 years, like everything affects how they'll be for the rest of their life. Like every single environment they're exposed to, everything that basically forms them.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy because since that I've paid attention to it and I've looked at people and like I've sort of in a lot of ways like spoken to a lot more people in my life about like their childhood or like, you know, how their life was and what they were exposed to and everything right in the beginning, you know, and just getting like a small perspective and then looking at it and saying, you know, and then realizing how those things are affecting how they are as a person now.
Yeah.
And it's weird how you like quickly make the links and you see certain patterns and say, shit, you know, like these people are like that and they all had this sort of upbringing and this sort of way of life type of thing, and look, that affected how they are today.
Yeah. It is confusing, but I think you can move out of it. I just think it's like your...
No, you can, but
Like,
it takes a long
It's
time.
like your general
That's not going to happen in a year.
Like,
or
this is your base product, and then
yeah,
you got to work with what that is. But like, the base has already been formed.
yeah,
Like, it's been, well, not a product, but like base being, let's say.
yeah.
But yeah,
But I feel like that's very difficult. Like a lot of people like don't adapt to change and can't, like it almost puts them in a bad mental space.
yeah. But also, like, my problem with a lot of that is a lot of people were never taught or like shown how to do any of these things. Like, some of them are possible. Like, a lot of them are abstract and hard to pinpoint for anyone.
Yeah.
And because we're all different, it's hard to look at. Some people have been forced to look at things through horrible angles just because they don't know what the other one is.
Yeah. I've never been exposed to seeing things in a different way.
Yeah.
No, it is true, dude. That's why I say, like, whenever someone says like they want to go overseas or they want to do something, like, I haven't traveled overseas, but to whenever someone says that, I'm like, go for it, because every single person I know that's gone overseas, like it's weird how I've seen it personally with people I know that have gone overseas, and when they came back, their perspective of life and the way they look at things is different. No matter where they were in the world, it somehow affected them all in some way.
Yeah.
And their ideals and everything, or just their way of life, was different, and it's the way they thought about things and the way they were in situations and reacted to things was just different, because they were so much more exposed to a different, something different. And I feel like that's something that's very important, like in life, like to constantly expose yourself to, I don't want to say that the whole thing of like that's out of your comfort zone, but just exposing yourself to different experiences, like allowing yourself to experience lots of different things in life.
And don't always hold yourself back for them, because some of them you might have to go through to just realize that it's not that bad.
Yeah,
or just,
yeah.
Oh, that's chill as fuck. I like doing that.
Yeah, and actually just like comes back to the thing of just seeing it for what it is, like, and experience it and take in all the details and analyze it and say and see what that, how does that affect you as who you are, you know? Like, what is it bringing to the table?
But I think, yeah, there's so many factors in life that can affect someone that it's hard to, like, even realize them when they're happening. Because there could be something random in your life that only later on, in context, you understand what it was. But at the present time, it's a weird experience altogether, or cuck, or this or that.
Yeah, there
but
is
in
always
context,
that, dude.
you realize exactly how the I don't know. I'd put it as like the universe put you in your place or just raised you.
Mm.
Like it made you grow up quickly. Like sometimes the universe will put you in your place whether you like it or not.
Y-
Like
you know what I think it is, and I totally understand what you're saying, like being put in your place. But I feel like it's either one of two things. It's either something that you were supposed to get to on your own, and you weren't applying the steps to be there because you maybe didn't know that was a thing, that needed to be in your life
yeah.
or whatever. But if you didn't achieve that, whatever it was, whether it be a major achievement, so to say, or just an experience, or whatever it was, whatever the situation is, it's a relationship or just meeting a stranger for a day that you never see again in your life, but that
Yeah,
you had a
dude.
conversation with, and that conversation sort of resonated with you for a long time, or
Yeah,
whatever
dude.
it is, what you went through a bad experience, you were in a car accident, you were this, or you went through a difficult time in life, or whatever it was, it had to happen.
Yeah.
And like, whether you allowed it to happen on your own by creating those situations, or whether the universe, so to say, put it there for you and
Yeah.
sort of put you in your place. But it's literally putting you in your place, and not in a sort of arrogant way, like putting someone in their place,
It's
like
more like trying to teach you to
literally
move
just
forward.
placing you where you needed to be.
To move forward.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
move forward. And it's funny, like I'm
And
saying
it's
that
weirdly
the
enough a
universe
test
does
as
that,
well.
but I
Yeah.
feel like the universe does that when you don't do certain things that will give you the same end result, because it might not be, say, wherever the universe places you, that might not have been something that you would have done if you were doing what you were supposed to do, so to say.
Yeah.
Like we never know what we're all supposed to do. We can never know our purpose or whatever it is,
Yeah.
but you weren't living in the correct universe, so to say, or the correct way to. So the universe has, like, you're gonna end up there one day, right, in your life, whatever the situation is, however your life is, but that is a part of it that's going to be there, right? So there's one or two ways that I believe it happens. You either walk along that way and sort of go with what the universe gives you, and what you create, and what you manifest, and how you literally create your life to get there, right? Whether you know that is the end result or not, but you're going to end up there by those choices that you make.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, and that's part
But
of,
you think
like,
it's just like here's your path, but you can take tangents. It's just you'll find your way. Like
yeah, there's two ways. I don't want to say the path that you're supposed to walk on, but the path that will be easier laid out, easily, the easier pathway.
yeah.
And that's, I feel like, where that comes down to is,
That's even like a lot of Chinese philosophy of flow.
yeah,
Like easy
yeah,
work.
and
You
like,
go like working with the flow of the universe.
yeah,
Like
that's what I wanted to say. Like the whole, literally realizing what the universe is bringing to you, and actually using it, paying attention to certain things, and realizing, okay, but this is something that you could just look past, but it could mean something. But we never do, because we'll never realize it, because we don't look at the details of things. And once you look at the details and realize how that is affecting you in that present moment, and then think, okay, could this become a constant? Could this become a pattern? Could this just be a once-off thing? And paying attention to those, and realizing, like, is this a once-off thing, or is this something that could become a pattern?
Yeah.
And
But
creating patterns,
it's also the hard part because those are somewhat points that will one day form the pattern or have already formed the pattern. So
yes,
it's hard to see it without seeing the whole pattern altogether.
no, 100%.
Like
But I think it's more the case of
yeah.
just understanding if it is something that could form, and you can create a pattern out of it, or is it just something that you will maybe look at, or look back at a point in your life, and think, okay, cool, like, that never sort of developed anything, or nothing ever came of that, but you saw why later on, or saw why it did only later on. But at some point, something either becomes a pattern or it's once off. So like following the pattern and or creating certain patterns, I feel like when you don't do that, the universe will sort of throw something in there that will force you
to move forward,
to start creating a different pattern.
Yeah.
So if you're not constantly creating something new, or constantly like moving, like not being stagnant,
progressing,
in
in
any way, no, just moving, like
Yeah.
literally just moving, like, and it's not even about, so to say, progression in such a harsh sense, like more just everything is constantly moving, nothing stops. Where we live, the planet we live in, never stops.
Well, energy in general,
Nothing.
in the cosmos,
It doesn't.
Constantly moving energy. Even
Nothing stops, because when something stops, it dies.
Yeah. And
anything on this earth, when it stops, it dies. So once you form patterns that are repetitive, that are literally just a full stop the whole time, because you just the same thing, you become stagnant, and it's just stagnant pattern on repeat. That pattern is never changing. There's no diversity. There's nothing. It's just the same.
But then, how also would you say someone would escape that space?
You've got to create a new pattern. You've got to create a new habit. Everything that we do in life, everything that comes to us in life, everything that we do, all has to do with habits.
Yeah.
Habits that we conscious of, habits of that we subconscious of. It's all just habits. Every single little thing that you do is actually, in actual fact, a habit. Something that you practice. Whether you practice it every day, once a week, once a month. But if that is something constant in your life, it's a practice, and it's a habit. Every single thing that we do.
Yeah. Well, so many things become habitual before you even know it, like driving or waking up, or
and every single one of those things has an effect in our life.
Yeah.
A simple thing like driving. If you drive like shit every day, eventually you're going to have an accident.
Yeah.
Where you drive, not to say that when you drive nicely all the time, you won't have an accident. Someone can drive into you.
Yeah.
But
the one is you imposing your will onto a situation.
Yeah. You doing something, and I believe like you really, like, say with that, you focus on it. Yes, anyone can get hit by another car, or anything can happen.
Yeah,
right?
Well,
but like in general, most people that drive well all the time aren't involved in accidents.
Yeah.
They just have a better luck, so to say. But that, I feel, also comes it down to like the simple thing, and I feel like this is like a really stupid example to use, is driving as an example, but like they are day in and day out like have the habit and practice the practice of driving nicely, and manifesting an idea of being safe in a vehicle, and doing the correct things all the time. That is the environment that they're creating, and that is what they're putting out. So that what they're putting out, they start to receive. Like into the universe.
Nicer drivers,
Yeah.
But also, there's a weird argument of that also we've spoken about before. It's like, even though this could like fit somewhat into the abstract idea of this, it's learning how to fuck around in your car. You can drive as nice as you want, but until you have to slam on brakes and fishtail the fuck out of that thing, you got to still know how to control that thing.
Yeah, no, for sure, dude.
So like, you got to still fuck around a little bit here and there just to learn how to drive. Even though like my time like trying to drift and shit was when I was a lighty, I learned how to. I've saved myself before in nearly an accident because I had to fishtail the bucky.
Yeah.
Like, fucked. Like, and it's just because I fucked around that I learned how to do that. Just
you learned
when
how
I was
to
on
control
a dirt
it. Yeah.
road, I would mess around, and I'd. So like, as nice as you drive, there's still those moments that you got to still do something to like.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Acquire a side skill to achieve the next thing if something happens.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And it's the weirdest thing, like that, me fucking around in the car, I never knew till I was older that like, oh shit, that should be really useful. As much as I wouldn't recommend it to people, but like just even an advanced driving course or something.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like just learning how to drive the vehicle and move it around
Mm,
in
mm,
even stressful situations,
mm.
which
It is,
could
it's,
apply to like normal human life as well.
yeah, that's
Like,
literally that to me is like a good example of it's where they were using driving as an example for these things. But
yeah. Well, it's just
like the
applying
same,
a word as an
yeah,
abstract
like
idea. Yeah.
knowing and understanding and analyzing the situation, like driving a car and learning about it and focusing on the details
Yeah.
will immediately make that scenario better for you in any way,
Yeah.
because you will have more control, more knowledge, more everything of that situation. So
Yeah.
you know how to handle that situation in its entirety,
Yes.
like not just as a singled out thing, like,
A
where
random
you
event that takes place.
understand
Yeah.
all the complexities that come to it. And like that is a thing, like doing that with everything in your life.
Mm.
And then it's not necessarily about knowing or having the most knowledge about every single topic or every single idea or every single whatever, but just understanding it enough
To move
to
forward.
to,
Yeah.
to know and to know what it does for you and what it doesn't do for you, and that's what you need to know,
Yeah.
and then move from there.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Like sometimes you mustn't get stuck on one thing either.
Yeah. Like there's this thing with I don't know if I'm sure I've told you about Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
So and
Actually
he
watched something of his earlier.
oh nice dude.
Yeah, dude.
And he always had this thing where he was like, people always say, oh, like work on your weaknesses, or what you're not good at, apply yourself to more and whatever. And he's got a different way about it, and I quite like the idea. I'm still like a bit told, yes, I always feel like if you can improve in something that is a part of your life, do it.
Yeah.
But one thing he says, and yes, a lot of it's business talk, but I feel like that applies to you as a person every day. It's
Yeah.
like, obviously you got to identify, but what he says is, don't focus on what you should at. Like, focus on what you're good at and apply all your energy to that. And because you will apply all your energy into something that you should at and maybe achieve 50%
Yeah.
of that, whatever it is.
That's
where
the thing,
you
it's
apply.
like spreading butter. You could spend more time spreading it than actually having something solid.
Yeah, but you're
Like,
applying yourself to something that you physically, mentally, psychologically not maybe built to do or designed to do, or have that skill set in your persona, right? So why focus so much on something that you're going to improve on by 10%?
Yeah.
Where you apply yourself to something that you're already good at, you could turn that 80% into 200%.
Yeah.
Type of thing. Like you could be good at something and apply yourself to it and become the best at it, become excellent at it.
Yeah.
Where you apply yourself to something that you were never good at, you're maybe going to become very mediocre at it.
Yeah.
Like, but if that's not something that I always feel like we all have our own unique skill sets, and I say talents. Like a lot of people say, oh, I don't have any talents. Like every single person has a talent, we just don't know what it is, and it might not be a talent that gets idolized or is seen as a talent in today's society, but it's something that they are naturally drawn to, they are naturally good at, they are naturally,
like
it's part of who they are.
Like for me when I was younger, like even in school, one of the things I wanted to do was play rugby. I wanted to be a rugby player.
Yeah.
But realistically, I was not the guy.
Yeah.
To be realistic about it.
Yeah.
As much as I wanted to do that, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I had to go out and explore a little bit to find that I like the more creative side of things.
Yeah, exactly.
But I only found that out way after. I never even explored it before.
Yeah.
So I have a weird argument of also, because I learned weirdly enough that you could do anything. I just applied myself hard to things that I didn't understand or knew.
Yeah.
But weirdly enough, that has put me in a place where I can collectively put it all together.
Yeah.
So for me, that was useful to actually explore a lot.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
But the thing is, like realistically, like I said, like as much as I wanted to be a rugby player, it's not for me.
Yeah. But the thing is, you could have.
But I could have sat there.
Wasted a long time.
There, exercised, grafted, played.
You could have done that, and you might have become quite a good rugby player, but you would have never become the best in the world, right? Because that was not something that you were meant to do.
Innately, like that's the thing. Is also I've become a lot peaceful now that I've become older. I don't know if I followed the same route, I'd still run into oaks like that.
Yeah.
Like.
No, for sure, dude. And you might have then not found the creative avenue or found the pathways that you did
because
in your
I
life
limited myself to one
because you applied your
Yeah.
energy to that
But that's
and you
even
didn't
like,
let you.
another thing was even becoming a game ranger.
Mm.
But as soon as I found out you had to cull animals as well, I was like, okay, this is not for me as well. As much as I understand
Yeah.
the process and why it needs to be done,
But
personally
that's
not for
not
me
why
because
you wanted to be a game ranger. You
no.
want that
But
part of the job.
but
Yeah.
weirdly enough, like when I started college as well, I used to sit by a computer a lot.
Mm.
And I was like, I do not want to do this all the time.
Mm.
So I picked up photography, and weirdly enough, Tristan gave me a camera
Yeah.
around the same time. So that was the universe being like, okay. And then now I've spent a lot more time in nature than I might have before, but I've understood it through a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
So I'm still out there. It's just I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
but you're still doing what you wanted to do or what you wanted to get out of being a game ranger.
being in nature.
Yeah.
But
Just
I
being
still
in
get
nature.
to do that now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just I had to open the space for that as well, just
Yeah.
depending on which world I was in.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always it's weird. Like there's a lot of things in life where you want a certain thing out of it or a certain there's whatever reason you're doing what you're doing, but sometimes like the most obvious way of doing it isn't the way that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
For you to acquire that in your life, like whether it be an environment, a skill set, whatever it is, there's a certain way of doing things, but that might not be the option for you, or the correct way of doing it. Like,
but that's also back to somehow you'll find the space you were meant to
you,
be
you
in,
never
just
know,
in a
like,
completely different
yeah,
form.
like your
Like,
perspective
or I
of,
don't even know if I'm meant to be. It'll probably change again later
yeah,
on.
but like maybe like your perspective of nature and everything that you have now would not be the same, say, if you became a game ranger.
Yeah.
That might have changed your perspective of nature and
Yeah.
what it is to you completely.
But that's also because, weirdly enough, throughout this other phase as well, I took a lot of time in exploring the spiritual path.
Yes.
So also in that, I've learned how to feel nature and the energies and the flows of it.
Yes.
Like, not like I'm literally watching fucking currents of things, but I can feel it.
Yes. No, I
Because
understand
I'm
what you're
more in
saying.
tune
Yeah.
with it, I think. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just because I've spent
And that
the
might
time
have not have
exploring it.
happened if you were a game ranger
So I
because
might
you
have been outside, but I wouldn't have been seeing the
yeah
same
because
things
your
either,
energies
or
would have been
experiencing the
focused
same things.
on it in a different way of it, looking at it differently.
Yeah, it's so strange actually to think about in
It is.
context all of that, dude.
It is. It doesn't always make sense at the moment. You're like, oh, it changes your perspective, and you're like, oh, I really want this, but I don't want that part of it. And then you're like, why is it like that? Like, how do I then achieve what I want? And then you find another way, and that way ends up actually being better than the original like preconceived idea.
I failed many times along this path.
No, for sure, dude, for sure. But like I feel like every failure you will, like, of course, it's a cliche thing, but like every failure you learn something from.
100%. The more you fail, the more comfortable you get with it, the less it affects
Yeah,
you.
and then that's the whole thing. Like people associate fear and failure, they go hand in hand, right? And fear, I feel, is a very dangerous thing. Like,
yes,
fear can come in many forms, like in many ways. Fear can affect you, and I feel like fear is a very bad thing.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's also sometimes, depending on where you are in your life, it's very hard.
Yeah, no, of course. Like certain times, fear can.
Because you're freaking out so hard.
Yeah.
Like,
but
you can't face it yet.
Yeah, like, and sometimes fear can be a good thing because fear can direct you in a way that to make a more rational decision, maybe with something. But I feel like I can't remember who said this to me, but they said like if you want to control any of your emotions, learn how to control fear, and learn, because if you can do that, you can apply that to everything else, and because fear will so often, without us even knowing it, like instill an idea or like alter how we're going to react or how we are in a situation and how we see things, even because it we allow the fear to consume the idea or the situation or whatever it is. Where if we learn how,
it can seep in from any place.
Yeah.
No matter what the idea is, it can come in. It can find
Yeah.
a way. Like
there's that's why like fear comes in a lot of different forms, so to say, in your life.
But it is possible to face it, definitely.
No, 100%. And that, like, if you learn how to control that sort of emotion, I feel like it helps you make better decisions in life, more rational. It's not always about being rational, but like just.
But you're no longer just jumping onto something, and you're no longer scared of
Yeah,
anything.
like
You're
I
actually
feel
moving
like
towards an
yeah,
idea
fear
because
will
you understand what it is.
Yeah, because fear, I think, will like it often blurs your perspective of things, whether it blurs it in a negative or a positive way. It's going to blur it in some way because the fear takes over the sense of looking at things further. It creates an idea and doesn't let you see what it is.
Yeah, it's like blocking you off.
Yeah. It creates this. I mean, everyone in their life has at some point created an idea of something based off fear that was never a reality and never would be a reality.
Yeah.
But through fear, we created that situation or that idea or that thought in our minds of something. And then that would affect the outcome because we weren't seeing it for what it was. We were seeing it
that's also
for what we were
like
fearing.
A weird one I've figured out over time is like my fear of heights.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I used to always freak out by heights. I was like 14 even. Like, I was old.
Yeah.
And I was crying on the fucking one of those bungee things on the beach, dude. Because I was just like, this is freaking me the fuck out. But like, as I've grown up, I've slowly climbed some other things, or like when I'm fucking around on a hike or something and moved and looked down off the edge and just like forced myself to do it. But also, what I realized in that process is I'm not actually afraid of heights at all. I was just uncomfortable not having stable ground.
Okay.
So once I figured out,
if you're high up but your feet are on the ground, you're fine. But if your feet are not on the ground, that's weird. Like it creates a different.
But also just that, like now I can climb something as long as I've got good footing.
Yes.
It's not that the height.
Yeah, no, it is. It's weird.
Like
you still have that sense of grounding. Like,
but I've got to also like I've had to face that thing bit by bit for years because that was one.
Your brain's like, I know I can't fly, so if there's nothing under my feet, like I want something under my feet.
But it was also just uncomfortable. When I'd look down, I'd be like, oh fuck, and then I'd stop thinking about where my feet are. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna fall. But if I just look down, my feet are fine. Still standing.
Sorry.
No, all good. But it's one of those things, dude.
Yeah. It's weird. And I find it like not weird, obviously, because we're all different people, but like how people can have so like what people's fears are. Like they always say, like someone's fears tells you a lot about the person as like who they are, and like you can't always understand it, and you can't always like generalize things. But I find it quite interesting how people are like there's so many different things that people are scared of. Like someone might be scared of heights, but somebody else.
Oh man, I could be in the room with you, and there could be a spider over there, and you can be like, "Fucking burn the room."
Yeah. And like other people, and other
all.
people are scared of other things that would be completely like traumatic to them, and it's weird. And spider, heights, or it could be something emotional, something physical, like
anything,
whatever it is, if that's that person's fear, like. And how much that can like affect their life, I feel like it's crazy.
But that's also where it gets hard to pinpoint what these things are. Because some of them are so like broad spectrum fears that it's hard to even find a point where you can start to assess what this thing is.
Yeah.
Like me with my weird shit when I was younger as well. It was such a strange thing. I wouldn't even go outside on my own in the dark, dude, or something like that. It was just that, like, and it all just started clogging up into this one space. So I don't know, dude. No, it's smashed, dude. No, like I said, it's just the hubbly, dude. Because the hubbly goes in the back, dude. I'd love to smash one, but it'll be a little bit noisy.
And it's extra quiet.
Yeah. But I'm sure no one will actually mind the sound. Because a lot of this is just like, even this is not going to be a video. Well, it is going to be a video, but it's like literally 2 hours chilling in the dark because of ESCOM.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you name the episodes at all? Or is it just like...
No, I just kind of put.
No, I
Like
guess
the name.
it's a podcast, so it's not like a series that you would give a name, you know. Like,
I could do that, but I don't want to get clickbaity, dude.
what's that?
Like when you start clickbaiting people just by saying, "Oh, we talk about psychedelics," like, and I'm like, wow. Like even though it might be interesting to someone, like I don't like
No, but
like
like
that. So I'd
but
rather
like
just
giving
say like
each
episode
episode
and
a
in
name,
person. Yeah,
like not describing what's in the episode, just giving it a random name.
I can do that even.
Like you've watched Archer, dude.
Yeah.
Every episode's got like a name. Okay, yeah, that's an animated series, right? But a lot of the time, the name has nothing to do with what's going on in the series.
Fair enough.
So it's just like a random name, like.
But then you got to think up a name every time.
Yeah, but like that, like
this
it
one
would
like
be.
made one.
Yeah,
But
like
with
2 hours chilling in the dark, but
yeah.
that's nothing. That's not what we're talking about at all. That's not our subject matter.
Yeah.
It's not sitting in the dark. You know, we're not talking about ESCOM. We're not talking about. You know,
it just happens to be something that's affecting the environment at the moment. Yeah.
Like
But no, I can do that, dude. Maybe I should start doing that. It would be cool. But what you can say, like Jethro?
No, just like, you know, something about him, like equal every person, like, you know, I want to say like the guy with the beanie or with his crazy hair, dude. Like his hair. I love his hair. It's crazy.
His
though.
hair is majestic.
Yeah, but it's crazy. It's like,
yeah,
you know, giving it a name to something like that.
Mm.
I was coming up with something random.
Was this like a random point in it that was a funny name or something that we could put in there? Just completely randomize it from a point in the show.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. Because at the moment it is literally just like podcast, episode,
Yeah.
name. No, that would be sick. 2 hours in the dark.
2 hours in the dark.
Rotting cock.
Did you ever know Mornay and Twaki, dude?
No.
Yes,
No,
someone brought it out.
Twaki.
Someone brought it up the other night, and like it brought back like so many memories. Like I can't even remember what they spoke about, but like it was like one of these dumb, like they acted like idiots, but like they were like comedians, but like the way that they brought it across was like very ridiculous, so to say. But they were quite comical. But it was
a
weird
little
to think,
like Paul maybe as well. Like he's always making jokes and things. Like he's a chill guy.
Yeah,
but
not even like
just
that,
on
dude.
the side, he has gears to make jokes. Like,
yeah. But he's just like sort of that's just who he is, I suppose. Where this is like, you know, it's put on and it's like a whole thing, but it's not really even about their contact. Like it was more about like finding it like a common ground with like people. And it was like, you know, like they experienced that in their life and I experienced that, and like how did they see that? Like, you know, and what was it to them in their life? Like, you know, they were just a bunch of comedians, but like they were explaining to me the story and like how they perceived the stories and stuff, and it was very different to how I perceived, because they always told like a story or something, and like they saw it very differently to how I remember it being or how I saw it.
But also you were there looking through your eyes, not theirs or their experience or anything. Like as much as you might have been in the room with them, could be anything. And also like people also, like we said earlier with the tags on different events, some people have different points that they like think about. Like some person might notice someone's clothes if they're very into fashion, or some person might notice conversation, or some person might notice some weird part of the conversation, or like, so you're gonna all go home with different things, and then you're gonna be like, oh, this like,
yeah, dude.
Or some could have just loved the music, could have been listening to it. Like if you had an event or something, some in your group could have just been jamming the music the whole time and not known what was plotting, dude.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we all see things differently. We all see the world through our eyes.
Yeah. But it's also what makes it quite dope.
Yeah, no, I think
it makes it hard to communicate with each other, but it's what makes it
yeah, no, very difficult.
very different.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
That was one thing like that I've like acquired more later in my life, was to see things or try to see things how other people see them. Like there's that old thing like put yourself in someone else's shoes. But like that's literally like a thing. Like I feel like it should be a daily practice for everyone, and it's something that I feel can also be quite dangerous.
Yeah.
Because it can make you vulnerable in a certain sense, where you adapt a different way of thinking, or you create a sense of sympathy or whatever in a situation because you putting yourself there, but you need to put yourself there as yourself still, like not be completely see and understand the other person's perspective and like
so
know
like
what
actually walk in their shoes.
Yeah, walk in their
but
shoes.
No, obviously you can't completely do it, but you can somewhat.
Yeah, like
try and pick up on what's going on there.
Yeah, like put yourself
definitely.
as that person, but I don't want to say just in the experience because then you only see it through your perspective, but like allowing yourself to understand that person's perspective on an everyday thing, whatever it is, whether it's a big thing, a small thing, just understanding how they see things. I feel like, and that also comes down to the whole communication thing, is being able to communicate with people better because you become sort of on the same wavelength about things because you understand each other in a way because you're not just seeing things through your eyes and your perspective. You're seeing it how they would see it.
But that's the thing, is you can listen to someone and agree or disagree with them, but you can listen to them and try and see what they're seeing. Like, but the agreeing and disagreeing is something that comes afterwards. You got to still try to comprehend what's going on.
Yeah, no, for sure, dude.
Like,
but that's what it comes down to, is like just understanding every single situation for what it is, and like what everything is made of. Like every single thing in your life, like every single environment, every single second of your life is made up of details.
Yeah.
Like every little detail, without the details, everything would be nothing. Like absolutely nothing, because every single thing makes up your environment, whether it be what's in the room or who's in the room or what you're talking about or what you're listening to or what you're physically doing.
The spaces you're interacting with.
Yeah, and it's the every little thing affects something in ways that we won't even realize. But when you start paying attention to those things and understanding or trying to understand what those little things are and what they represent, I feel like makes everything in life a lot easier and like a lot more, like you just understand it better. The more you understand something, the more you're going to be able to use it as a tool or just be in the moment more. Like if you understand the moment that you're in, you will be able to be more present in that moment and experience that moment a lot more because you're aware of what it's all composed of.
But like weird differences in things can change a whole event completely.
Yeah, like the smallest
like
thing can.
Smallest thing, like just at some point in my life, I realized we were all people.
Yeah.
And then also like, okay, the best way I can explain this, I've explained it to you before, but like, you start off with like going into a room, and there's a door, and you got to open the door, you got to go in the room, see what's inside. And then once you're in that room, you start to pick up things that like makes a whole bunch of doors.
Yeah.
There's like a whole bunch of things going on knowledge or whatever it is. So like once you go through one door, there's a lot more doors that open.
Yeah.
But then after all of those doors, you realize you're just in a room. So like there are no doors actually. You're just in a room interacting with different things. And then weirdly enough, with my final presentation for college, like I didn't get nervous. Like it confused the shit out of me to how I wasn't freaking out.
Yeah.
But it was because I was just in a room.
Okay.
I was just in a room with people. It's not this guy's a lecturer and this guy's that guy or that guy's that guy. It's just people. And you're just talking to some people. Like, so it's something like that.
Yeah.
So like once I just realized I was in a room, I stopped seeing those as doors.
Okay.
Of that guy being that or this being that. And it gave me like extreme comfortability in that situation that I didn't even understand. I didn't even understand at the time. I was like, what the fuck? How am I chilling out, dude?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I get nervous and shit for that shit, and then that time I was like,
yeah, you weren't. Maybe that was more of a case of like you weren't in that moment. You were not preoccupied by everything around you. You were just in your own sort of space. That everything else around you became sort of not insignificant, but it didn't have the same effect on you as what it might have previously or in a different situation.
yeah,
Because you knew, like, you were just in your own space, in your own environment mentally, that like nothing else was going to affect that, because you obviously had an idea of what you were going to be doing.
yeah.
You know, you like you said, it was a presentation, and
No, but even I messed up a little bit here and there, but I smoothly moved through it.
yeah, but you
like
were,
I was comfortable.
yeah,
Like I didn't freak out or like when when something starts going wrong and you're like, oh, it's a press button.
yeah,
I didn't feel that time at all.
yeah,
And
you
from there, I haven't felt it.
well, that's great, dude. That's great. But that's like,
but it's just weird how that randomly happened at some point.
yeah, yeah. But that's like the whole flipping the switch thing, which happens. Like, I feel like everyone in life, in some, with something, they've just flipped a switch where like something that would be a daily thing or a regular thing it just stopped, you know, or it just became something else.
Yeah.
And that is something I to this day I don't understand.
Is
Like,
how this flipped, like this,
yeah, like
how
yeah,
the switch
like what
actually flipped.
causes it, you know,
The
like
thing is, a lot of it is self-choice.
100%.
I've
But like
seen
this,
people flip their own switches. Like let's say just growing up in general.
yeah,
Some people flip their switch.
yeah, no, 100%.
Like, and they just like, I'm in.
Yeah,
But then
like
some people
to do
take
that,
time to flip
but
the switches.
when
But some
it
people, someone else
happens
presses
sort
the
of
switch.
subconsciously,
Yeah.
when it wasn't something that you made a conscious decision to do, like, okay, you know, I'm on whatever it is I'm making, this is stopping and this is happening,
Yeah.
type of thing, where it just sort of happens. And it might be something that like we've always, as a person, like tried to flip that switch, but it would just flip back. You know, you put it up and it goes back down. Yeah, and it just, you know, it wouldn't flip, and then one day it just does.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, you weren't even thinking of
Yeah.
the process or that idea, and it just happened. And it might be something completely random, or it might be something you've been trying to do for years,
Yeah.
and you just weren't. You kept on falling back into a previous pattern, or just wasn't working out, or whatever it was, and then
Yeah.
just one day, boom, everything's different.
Yeah.
You know?
I think a lot of it's also like, like when you start a job and you start doing something and and it's a little bit weird at first, and then once you get comfortable, you can move through it a lot more smoothly, even if new things
Yes,
are
yes.
getting thrown at you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just finding the point of comfortability of something, and then.
But that's always like a process, like that doesn't happen
Immediately at
instantaneously.
all, no.
Yeah.
But that, like, also, I'm not one for immediate gratification either. I disagree with it in many forms. Like,
it might
like,
always, yeah,
like someone goes onto their computer now and they just go, just button, something's coming to your house.
yeah.
You got that thing. Like, as much as you might have worked for it or this and that, like, some people just press thing. Like,
yeah,
like some people, they do work for the thing and they earn the thing and they get the thing and they feel the experience. Like when you were younger, you had to wait for fucking Christmas, my dude.
yeah,
Like nothing was coming to you, and even Christmas, you don't get extravagant things, dude. It's just something.
yeah,
Like, like, but it's still, you appreciate whatever it is.
yeah. No, it is the world we live in today. Like, everything is so accessible that never used to be accessible before, and it's created a different way of life and a different way of thinking. 100%. Like, that's why there's, in today's world, I still believe like there's a huge mental gap between an older generation and the younger generation that never used to, or maybe wasn't there when the older generation was the younger generation. From their older, then what to them was their older generation, their parents and their parents' parents. There wasn't such a mental gap that there is now, but that's because of the technology and how everything's changed. You know, everything's so accessible now.
Yeah.
you know, and we're so exposed to choice, and everything is out there. Like there's
Anything,
nothing,
everything, and anything.
anything and everything is out there. Like,
Yeah.
you know, a simple thing like you wanted to know something. Before it would be a whole thing. You would have to find someone that knew about it, or
had a book on it.
had a book on it, or go to the library, or you know,
There
and
wasn't just
and
a
it was a
button.
process
Yeah.
where it wasn't instant. That you weren't going to acquire that information within the next 5 minutes.
But then also when you end up sitting at that book, you actually try and comprehend what it is. You don't just look at it and you like read through, go home,
Yeah.
repeat
But
it, and then walk
now
away.
you want to
Yeah.
know something, you just pick up your phone and you type it in on Google, and it's going to give you, and you're going to then expand your knowledge in some way because you might have known something now that you didn't know before.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's so instant. So we expect that with everything in our life, like, and it's not that we consciously expect it; we subconsciously expect
Yeah.
it because
Just because it's a
we
pattern that's a background unfolded
yeah,
with
because
everything else we're interacting with.
yeah, everything that we know exists, and we know how easily we can access things and how easily certain things come into our life, that subconsciously like trains us and programs us into a way of thinking that everything should be like that because that's the way it is. Like that's why, like a lot of times, like people that work harder than others because of the way their upbringing was, or the way certain events happened in their lives
Yeah.
that caused them to be like that.
Mm.
So it's yeah, it's all just patterns. That's the way I see things. Is everything's just patterns, and it's how can you say? I love my train of thought now again.
Patterns.
Yeah,
Yeah. You were gonna try and explain it, but you were thinking about
yeah.
it. You might
So I was thinking
have
didn't work.
a little bit abstract and you didn't find it.
Yeah, I didn't quite
Yeah.
get there.
That is the one weird thing with abstract thinking is it's very hard to try to pinpoint some of the points of it, especially when it is like somewhat a conversation within a conversation about another conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
No, that's true, dude.
but yeah. But then besides all of that, another thing I just wanted to talk to you about is also this fatherhood.
Fatherhood.
Yeah, dude, how's that treating you, dude?
No, it's cool, dude.
Dude's a
It's
little G,
yeah,
throwing knuckles, fist pounds,
yeah,
dude.
yeah. No, he's a little gangster.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. Fatherhood. It's being a parent is it's different. It's different. Obviously, it's different. Something
Mm.
never done in my life before up until now.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's different because I've never done it before. Never. It's not something even like most people would like practice, so to say.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
there's no real way to practice being a
Yeah,
parent.
yeah. But like,
Yeah.
you know, just the basic simplicity of it, like going like the day-to-day things, you know, of looking after a child.
Mm.
You've never done those things in your life. It's very different because now you've got to adapt and change your life
Mm.
for these things to happen, because you can't just carry on doing the same things that you always would do, because now
Yeah.
your priorities are different, your perspectives are different, everything that you do, I feel like as a parent, well, I feel like that's the way it should be, like becomes about the child,
Yeah,
and
now
not
it's about the
where
children.
your life would normally just be
Yeah.
about yourself. You know, now it's everything that you do will affect another person,
Yeah.
and it's not the same as like a friendship or a relationship or anything. It is completely different. Like
Yeah.
it will shape that person's life
Mm.
entirely. Like your actions, how you do everything will affect them in some way.
Mm.
And like, I feel like as a parent, you just got to try allow yourself to affect them in the best possible way that you can.
Yeah.
Like, and it's weird. You look at everything differently because things that you would do daily, you won't do because you all of a sudden think about it differently and think, okay, but you know, how is what this that I'm going to do, or this way of thinking, or this way of behaving, or this whatever going to affect them and how they're going to see that, you know, might not affect them right now, it might affect them in 10 years time.
Yeah.
But like that whole process of having to like think like that is like, I feel it was like quite a hectic thing.
Yeah.
Because you would never apply that really, and I feel like it's a good thing for any person, because you obviously then look towards the future, and you have certain ideals that you want to then create in certain environments, and you work towards that, and you do whatever. But it's like also the day-to-day little things that you do, and it's crazy to, like with Dakota, I've picked up on things that he would do, that he does, things that he does that I would have done or have done. And it's not something that I necessarily taught him or try to teach him, but it's something that he would just pick up on his own, and he would start doing that. And it's crazy to think like, okay, well, you know, you realize even more and more that literally every single thing that you do is going to affect him in some way. So, but it's very cool. Like,
but also they begin to affect you as well.
100%. Like that's what I wanted to say now.
They change your perspective a lot on
that. They change your perspective. I mean, he's changed a lot of things for me, and then he's, funny enough, taught me a whole lot about life, and taught me a lot of things about myself that, like, I think nobody else could have ever taught me.
But also, like, I've heard from other people, it's just like seeing something grow up, you start to realize so many things randomly while you see it. You can even realize some childhood memories even while you watch it.
Yes,
like some things that were completely gone unless that happened.
Yeah, and it sort of brings back
because you get to see, like, from those eyes again in a way.
Yeah.
Because
you're putting yourself
you're thinking like an adult normally, and then if you come a little bit to the younger level, you can start to think about a little bit younger ages and things like that, and what you're doing in there. So
it starts to trigger those things in your mind.
At it as an adult, you're looking at it not really like that. Fuck, I don't know how to explain this actually.
No, I know what you're saying. It's like, it's not that you're reliving things, but certain things will trigger things in your mind that nothing else in your life has triggered. So you may not have remembered it before, but now you remembered it because something unlocked that memory. When nothing in your life has unlocked that memory. You know, like certain things will remind you of a situation, and you'll remember something because of something. You see something or you do something, and that reminds you of something in the past. With that, there wasn't something that did that before, but now that's there because you kind of reliving a thing, or you doing something that's similar, or the child's doing something, and then like they would do something, and then someone would say,
your friend doing something like that when you're younger.
Or remember, like, you know, like a simple thing, like he'll do something a bit naughty, and then like that'll then trigger a memory of like my parents telling me that, like, oh, you used to do that all the time. And it's something that he would do, and it's not something that I would have taught him because that's something I did as a baby.
Yeah, you don't even know you did that.
Didn't even know that. It's not something I still do at all. That was just in that stage, and now he would do the same things, and then it would bring that back. But I never would have thought of that or remembered, like, hey, but you used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's just, and it's funny how those type of things happen. This could be just by chance or whatever, but it's cool to bring that back, and it definitely does give you just a whole different perspective of it. He's also taught me a lot about people, like how people are, and interacting with people and understanding people. Made me look at that a lot differently as well, especially like the last couple months, like seeing him and more of his personality coming out more, and not being a baby anymore, to now becoming like a little human being, you know, that, you know, interacts and does things and has his own ways of wanting to do things and his own little habits, and
like even
all
when
like
he hustles
that.
Tristan, like it's just the randomest thing.
But like learning all these and seeing and observing the way he thinks, because you pay attention to it a lot more than what you normally would to anybody else in your life. Because you're paying attention, because you have to give them, you're watching them all the time, and you're observing and you're learning, and making sure of whatever situation, but you constantly looking and watching them, and you're constantly applying yourself.
Especially while he's so young, until he starts cruising on his own. Not running around so much. Now he's running.
Yeah. But it's like, just because you applying so much of yourself and you're paying so much more attention to it than what you would, I feel like, to anybody in your life. I feel like that's, no matter, even in a relationship or anything, like, I feel like a child, it's a different connection with a child.
Yeah.
Like, you are way more, like, I don't want to say in tune, but like you become in tune with them because you're applying yourself to them so much that it becomes such a big part of your life. And it's such a big thing, and it's so much energy and so much, like, I don't know what the word, like, but you mentally apply yourself to the person, and it just makes the whole thing so much more intense because you're so much more involved and so much more into the whole process and the whole,
I guess in
the whole thing
life
of it.
you have a lot more time to make space, but then for a kid you got to be there.
Yeah. and it's something,
so it
like,
is quite a different look, actually, now that you bring that up, because I don't think I've experienced anything like that.
Like, I could never say,
like, or even close, dude.
And it's the thing, like, I could say definitely, like, when you're in a relationship with someone, and say for a long period of time, that those sort of things, I feel like, happen, everything that would happen in them, in that, and getting and learning and understanding that person. Obviously it's different because relationships normally come when you're older in life. And so you're already a developed person, so to say. You already have all your little twerks and little things about you, and who you are, and the person knows who they are themselves normally, and whatever. Where this is very different because you're not learning who a person is. You're watching a person become who they are. You get to witness the process of how they go from this to that to every little step that they go along. You're not learning this and finding out, okay, cool, so you like this and your personality is like that, and you work like this, or you watch it literally develop. So I don't know what was that.
Maybe ESCOM wanted to work.
and it's weird seeing that perspective, because you can always learn who a person is. And become familiar with that person and everything. But this is different because you're watching it evolve. You're watching it happen. You're not seeing an end result. You're seeing the process. And that, I feel like, that for me made me understand a lot about myself, because I started to look at certain processes in my life and thinking, okay, you know what, like, I'm watching him develop in this way, and this causes this behavioral trait, and this causes this way of thinking, and whatever. And he's his own person, completely individually to me, but making me look at it in the developing stage, because when you're in that developing stage, you don't pay attention to how it is, because you're seeing it from there. You're not seeing it from a third party type of thing. You are, like the clay that turns into a bowl. The clay does not know that it's turning into a bowl. It just knows that it's developing and changing, and its forms, whatever. And so when you're the clay, you don't know. But when you're watching, you know that the clay, and you see how the clay turns into the bowl. But when you're the clay, you don't know how that happens. It just happens, and you're just a part of the process. So seeing it from that, and then understanding, like, okay, cool, that's why, like, certain things about me are the way they are. Is because that's how I developed that pattern, or how I developed that thought, or that way of living, or that behavioral trait, whatever it is. Like, because.
But even, like, it's weird that they have something like common. Like, something I see with him is he's not afraid of much. Like, he can move around a lot. He can do, like, something like you were when you used to do BMXing. Like, it's not really an adrenaline junkie in a way, but it's just like, you can see
he's just a kid. He's not scared of anything.
You'd see he'd be keen to do something like
Yeah.
Because he is just like that. He's
Yeah,
got
he is.
fierce,
He's like very spontaneous. Wants to be.
yeah.
I want to say
But
crazy.
even like
But
if he falls over or something, he's comfortable with it. He carries on. He walks
yeah,
around.
he's not sort of.
Like, so yeah.
He's not scared to get out there, so to say. Like he will go for something immediately. Like he just goes for it, and
Yeah.
like he's not worried about. That is the thing. Like when you're so small, like it, even through most of your childhood, like a lot of times we can all look back and say, shit, like something we won't do now because we're like, oh, fear would step in, or we think about it again, or you're like, oh, that's not a good idea. We're in that thing. You don't think about that because your perspective at that time doesn't even create that idea.
Yeah.
Where your perspective now creates a different idea of the situation.
It's like how you
and
thought
you would
in high
handle
school
it.
compared to where you are now.
Yeah.
It's two completely different thought processes.
Yeah,
altogether.
no, for sure. Because it's just,
Yeah.
you just think differently because your life is different and everything about it is different, and you still understanding things and learning things and whatever. And to see that happen, like he's still very young, and like that's one thing that I'm like, you can honestly say, like I'm excited for, is to like watch him grow and develop into the person that he's going to be.
And
know,
also
and like,
you can have full-on conversations with him and things.
Yeah,
You're already starting now.
Yeah.
But that's going to also be quite a cool experience.
Yeah, and that's going to be that's going to change the whole thing again. Like that's going to change everything, 100%. It's going to be a different ball game completely.
It's quite a journey, dude.
Yeah, so it's a very cool thing.
Well, it sounds exciting though, dude.
It is. It's a very challenging thing. It's especially if it's like, how can I say? I want to say something that you're ready for, because if you've never been a parent, you can never be ready for it because you've never done it before.
Yeah.
You
cannot just have to do it and
every single parent wings it, everyone's got their own ways.
I've only realized when I was older, when I walk around now, I'm like, most parents had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
They just had to wing it. Even my parents.
Like,
when you think back,
they have certain guidance.
They tell you random stories and things like that, and only when you're older, you're like,
okay. Yeah.
But they figured it out a lot.
Yeah.
But it's also like it's a heavy learning process. Like a lot of people are.
You
can, especially in their day, people were like, I think they were 20 something though.
Yeah.
But like often 18, like also young when they're having kids, and then their grandparents' age was even younger. So I don't know how they jumped onto that so young. Because 20s is like a very fair age to have kids.
Yeah. Yeah. But in today's day and age, people are having kids a lot later than what. There are still a lot of youngsters having kids, like at very young ages, but that's where before it was a planned thing. Most of the time now, in those cases, it's not a planned thing.
Something that happens.
It's something that happens. And like nowadays, when it's a planned thing, it happens a lot later in life.
Yeah.
So, but it's weird to think, because like no matter, obviously the grandparents can pass down to the parents whatever advice or whatever thing they got, and there's always great things to have, as a parent. But nobody still can, they can explain to you exactly through and through what it was like for them raising a child and what they did, and they can obviously give you good advice and good ways, because
your kid is very different to any other kid as well. They're also a little being, dude.
Yeah.
Also very different in their own ways. Does things.
Yeah, no, they're all very different. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But just like, how can I say? I keep on losing my train of thought now.
No, just.
Yeah, like you can never know, like, how to do it.
Yeah.
Perfectly. Like, there's no such thing as a perfect parent.
No.
Ever. Like, I don't believe that. You can try your hardest to achieve perfection in a way, but you need to understand like what perfection is in your situation.
The thing is, you could have the perfect family in a way, but your kid could just want to go play outside.
Yeah.
You never know. Like, it could literally be anything.
Yeah.
Like.
So it's what keeps it interesting is like you never know what's sort of coming next.
Yeah.
type of thing.
No, but that is a cool part as well.
Yeah, it's always on your toes.
Yeah. Especially with him.
Yeah. Yeah, it can keep you busy.
Yeah. It's just because he has a lot of gears though. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he wasn't he like super easy as a baby? Well, not super easy, but like not as hectic.
Yeah, no, he was. I mean, like, he slept through from a young age. He did a lot of things that, like, I saw other people with babies struggle with.
Yeah.
Where he sort of was very placid in those aspects.
Yeah.
Which makes things a lot easier, you know.
Yeah.
You hear like a lot of people I know that got kids and stuff similar ages, and they still complaining. I mean, kids are a couple of years older, and they still complaining how they haven't slept, like, got full night's sleep, and
Yeah.
you know, all of those things and things that they struggle with. Where been lucky you haven't had a lot of those things.
Yeah. But
So,
I guess you get different things that you have to deal
yeah,
with. I guess.
yeah,
Yeah. That's the thing is each to their
yeah.
own
Every
little
situation
things,
is different.
everything will like chance of getting a fully chilled kid will be slim. So
So,
now,
yeah, no,
now I think his gears is coming out a bit.
yeah, yeah. So now
But
things
it's
get
not too heavy
interesting.
though. He's still chilled.
Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, one way or another, like, but at least it's not the heavy crying thing when they lie to you. Because I don't know if I'd be able to deal with that. Like, he still obviously does, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like unbearable in a way.
Yeah, it's not like you get those kids or those babies, especially when they're still baby, that like cry all the time and just,
Yeah.
you know, where he wasn't like that at all.
No, but that's lekker.
But yeah, it's a journey, and it's a process, and I always wanted to be a dad, and like when I was a latte, and like actually being one is very different to the idea you have of it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's so much better than what like you can imagine. So, and it's very different to how you can ever think it is. Like,
Yeah.
you have your perception of it, but you, like I said, like, you can never
The thing is, like,
expect
even
to,
for me, like, my exposure to kids is like little cousins or like random things or like your kid, where I only get to see like random moments of them, not all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I'll see him when we're at your house chilling or when we're at like, or something like that.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the time, I don't get to see what the guy's doing or how is this or.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he might say random little words, or when he
Yeah,
wasn't
that you won't even know.
starting to make words, you could understand what he's saying by making random noises or something.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
because of the time you spent with him, it's like you get to understand a completely different like experience. Like I say, because you're spending the time with the guy. It's
Yeah.
not just like a random experience every now and then. Because I can like put an idea of what fatherhood would be like, but it's only just from random little experiences.
Yeah, it's
like,
not the whole picture.
Yeah.
And it's not.
So only when you're experiencing it, you'll actually know what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I said, like anyone can tell you as much as they want about it. You can read as many books you want about it, but none of that stuff is how it is.
Yeah.
At all. It's a lot of it is very similar, but yeah, it's. I feel like for every single parent, it's different for them. Being a parent is different for every single person.
Yeah.
And it's what it is to them and what they apply to it, and like it's a big thing, but there's good times, there's challenging times, but it's definitely something that I feel like in some form or way, whether every single person on this earth, like for them to experience it, whether it be that they actually have a child or just go through that experience in some way.
Yeah, there's this thing on Joe Rogan by this guy, Rubenus Kappa. I doubt I'm saying his name right, but it's Rughan. Like, it's quite a heavy
He's
name.
got a heavy name, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know, it's a heavy name, but that guy as well, he says, like, as a guy who studied a lot of the spiritual journey and things like that, he says, like, being a father is essential on the journey we're in now. Like, in his own view, because it's just, like, it is completely different.
It is, yeah, it
like,
is. It's
like, you can't replicate it in any way.
No, it's impossible. It's like, impossible. Like, you have
it's
to.
So different.
You have to physically experience it.
Yeah.
You have to literally be a father to understand what it is. And even being one, to understand it fully is difficult. To understand everything, it's something that you learn at. And like, you know, I've, since becoming a parent, I've spoken to so many parents, you know, older parents, like
Yeah.
parents from our parents' age and stuff. And you know, people that have been parents for a long time.
Yeah.
And seeing their perspective and just saying, you know, like, what was this like for you? And what was that like for you? And
Hey, wisdom
everyone,
is like practical knowledge.
yeah,
Is extremely valuable.
every single one of them said from the day they became a parent till right now, whether their kid is 5 years old, 15 years old, or 25 years old, like, they are still learning how to be a parent.
Yeah.
And every single one of them said that to me. They are still to the day learning how to be a parent.
Yeah.
Like, every day you learn a different way or a different thing, or just something about it. Even if it's something you already knew, it just adds to that. Or, you know,
in different stages of your life, the thing is, the oak's going to be doing completely different things throughout those times of his life.
Yeah.
And like move through those spaces, and then you got to learn how to adjust with them and like be comfortable with them doing what they're doing in some cases,
Yeah.
and like just understand how they do it or why they do it.
Yeah. What's causing it to
Yeah.
happen? What's,
Or even like when they get to our age and he starts planning his life or start moving forward, or maybe in a relationship or something, you'll start to have to learn all sorts of new things now to handle the kid.
Yeah.
Well, until he's a man.
Yeah, it's crazy, literally.
Yeah.
And that's why it's different to, like I said, it's different to getting to know someone. It's watching someone become someone.
Yeah.
Like, it's so different, and that's why it made me look at people so differently and just have a different idea, and also start to notice how things affect people. Because I've seen in a very, I wouldn't say drastic way, but how every little thing affects him.
Yeah.
And every little thing has a reaction, like, you know, cause and effect. And noticing that.
And like just when you're older, like we said earlier, you start to forget what those are throughout the day.
Yeah.
Those random little things that happen.
Yeah, and like noticing that more now for myself and like for other people, and just looking at situations sometimes and trying to just understand, even though it may still be my perspective, but just understand, like, you know, how is this situation or this environment or this whatever affecting that person? You know, like, how does it? Because sometimes I feel like we don't make that connection, and that's where like miscommunication comes in.
It's also a very hard one to
Yeah,
navigate.
it is.
What's too much, too little? What's the like? Because people are all very different. Some people you don't have to say a word to, and they're chilled.
Yeah.
They'll giggle once in the night and walk away. Like, some people are quiet.
Yeah.
Then some people need a lot of attention. Some people.
Yeah.
Like, people are all very different in the way they move.
Yeah. So, like, just paying more attention to why people are the way they are has like been a big thing for me, and it's been a big learning thing for me personally, like, to also just learn more of like who I am as a person and develop the type of person I want to be, or the type of person sort of the image we all believe have like an image in our minds of who we are.
Yeah.
You know.
Somewhat. Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah. We'll never quite know, I don't think, but we.
Yeah,
but
we
have a good idea.
Yeah, we have a perception, so to say,
yeah.
of who we are as a person,
Yeah.
you know, and to understand that, and like, that's something, the same thing as like parenting, when you never stop learning. I don't think we'll ever stop learning about ourselves either.
Yeah.
Like, well, for as long as what we pay attention to it, and I feel like we should never stop paying attention to that.
Yeah.
Because the moment you do, that's where people sort of lose themselves or get lost, in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, because they disconnect themselves from themselves.
Yeah.
Because their minds become occupied with everything else around them, that there isn't sort of any thought about themselves.
Yeah. And they forget how to create space for themselves.
Yeah.
Remember themselves.
And then all those other little things that are important of being who you are start to fade away, and you start to lose track of those things.
Yeah. such a confusing one to navigate that, and like different like people's overall existence, even just how they've chosen to be themselves or present themselves or even lose themselves, like. And the craziest thing is it can happen so easily as well. Any of them. You can find yourself randomly at some point. You can lose yourself at some point. Like they can all happen. Like a lot more commonly sometimes than people would believe. It's not just like a once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah, it can happen multiple times. Stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Go through different stages, and at one point more in tune, and other points you're not. And one point you may behave in that way, but you may behave differently before, differently for the rest of your life, and that might have been
just because of different spaces and places and where you were, like as yourself in that place or time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people could be in any place when they're in that place and do the wrong thing.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Without realizing the place that they're in.
Yeah, no,
only later on you can realize that. I'm sure all of us have some regrets from when we were younger.
And that's for sure.
Like, but also we were just those people in that place. Like we can't undo those things, but like it was just who we were at the time. We weren't grown up yet.
Yeah. I feel like that. Like we all did have done things in our lives that sometimes we don't understand, sometimes we regret, sometimes we hold on to, or whatever it is. But like every single one of those things, I feel like cause what's going to happen. Well, obviously it causes what happens next, but like who you are from that point forward.
Yeah. And also how much work you're gonna have to do to find yourself again.
Yeah. But I feel like that comes also down to when you, like I said, like how as soon as you stop paying attention to certain things, and that's like when you end up, a lot of times where a person would end up behaving in a certain way or becoming a certain way, and they might not even be aware of it, so to say, in a sense.
It could just be happening in the back door that someone can't see, and until someone tells them or even notifies them of this, they might never notice.
Yeah.
Could always just be a background thing.
Yeah. And something that brings it along, and that's when you're not like when people say they get lost and they lose themselves, and you know, whatever environment they were exposing themselves to subconsciously created that to happen, because they weren't paying attention to what that environment or those situations were doing for them as a person.
Yeah.
They were not looking at the details and understanding and looking at situations, and a lot of people end up back in the same situation or the same environment, will never change their environment in life because they just like sort of accept it in a way. And like, you know, a lot of people will be in like an uncomfortable situation and they'll never move out of that situation because they just like, okay, well, this is just how it is. So they just stay with it. They never try to change it or try to see differently or try to anything. They just allow it to be for what it is. And then that has a ripple effect to other things. And then they start to not do things that they would do in their life if that they weren't in that environment. Or they start doing things that they wouldn't do because they are in that environment. But it's where if they actually sat back and looked at it from the beginning and said no, but you know, and removed themselves from that environment because that's not something that they wanted to do or wanted to be in or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
They just accepted that environment, but then that environment started creating other environments or other situations that we didn't want. So as soon as you put yourself in those situations, things that you constantly don't want to happen are going to continuously happen because you're forcing yourself into allowing yourself to be in a place where you know if you actually looked at it, you shouldn't be in that place.
You're somewhat inviting things that aren't supposed to be there.
Exactly, because you are where you're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
And you're not doing anything about it. You're just accepting it and saying, oh, but this is just how it is,
Yeah.
type of thing. And I feel like that's the worst thing anyone can say about a situation, whether if you ask someone about something in their life and they just go, yeah, but it's just how it is.
Yeah.
They immediately, I feel, are not happy about that situation, but they've just accepted it.
Yeah.
And they've allowed it to be acceptable in their life. And that allowing that has now then normally allows other things and them to accept other things that they wouldn't accept if they didn't accept that thing from the beginning and become so used to it.
Yeah.
If they allowed themselves to not attract things that they weren't attracted to, so to say.
Yeah.
You know, like in life and in the universe, like you start to put out what's there, and that's not what you're supposed to be putting out. So you don't receive the things that you're wanting to receive.
Because you're not resonating at the same frequency as
Yeah.
those things you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I've seen that with other people. I've experienced that. Been in places in my life where I wasn't enjoying it. Like, I feel like during those times, a lot of other things that I didn't, or unpleasant things happened because I was staying in the same situation that I didn't want to be in. And when that situation changed or that environment changed, other things started changing because I was no longer allowing that sort of wavelength or
because you moved into a different one.
Yeah. And literally not being in the same space or being in the same whatever. Like they say you are what you eat, but I feel like you are what, like, we are all, or I believe that we're all made up of everything we've experienced in our life.
Yeah.
So whatever you surround yourself with and choose to experience in life is going to make up what you are and what you become, and your entire span, your entire universe, everything that surrounds you, everything that you are as a person is directly affected by what you surround yourself with. And like what's going to come is from what you have and what you're constantly in. Like if you're in constantly like dark spaces, dark things are going to happen to you.
Yeah.
If you're in constantly in light spaces, light things will happen to you. So it's
yeah. Or more commonly, you'll stay in that space and move into the other one.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like even for me personally, I felt like I spent a lot of my childhood in dark spaces, and now I can chill in more light spaces. I still end up there every once in a while in the dark spaces.
Yeah.
But it's nothing that too heavily affects me that I can't go back.
Yeah.
Or move back into the light.
Yeah.
It's just better navigation. Obviously, some things fucking beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
But
no, for sure, dude.
Yeah, it gets better to navigate as you grow up. And as you move forward, as you face these things, as you...
Yeah, it's because we've experienced more. So with more experience, we know how to handle more.
Yeah.
Because we've experienced something similar or done that exact thing or know about it or know more of it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. Sure, shit. What else did we slam here? Oh yeah, dude. Some ancient shit. Yeah, dude. We just wanted to go a little bit into like ancient cultures or like the way things were back in the day.
Yeah,
and comprehend them like they are now. We can do it in another episode if you like now, or we can slam it now.
Do that for another one. Yeah.
Because we can still slam now if you like. No rush.
I don't know. It's always something that's been a huge interest for me.
Yeah.
And it's like sort of, you know, not where we came from, but like I always thought there was more to the story, you know, like this can't be it, type of thing. Like it can't.
Like what we've been told is missing a lot
Yeah,
of
like
gaps.
it's
Like,
never made sense to me. Like it just
yeah.
and like with Graham Hancock and stuff, and what's the other guy's name?
Randall Colson.
Yeah, Randall Colson.
Yeah, I haven't looked into a lot of this stuff, but I've seen that Joe Rogan with the two of them.
Yeah, it's really good, that one, actually. They talk about a
Yeah.
lot of cool stuff, but like the whole thing of like ancient cultures, like I believe strongly in like that there were advanced civilizations before us. Like we are not the first
Yeah.
advanced human civilization on this earth. They were pre-existing, but nowhere near the same as what it is now. Very differently. I feel like they were almost a lot smarter than or far more intelligent than what we are, because they were, in a sense of like being human. Like,
Yeah.
what does it mean to be?
I think they possibly figured out a lot about like vibrations and shit like that, but also didn't have
They
too
understood.
much of the technological aspect going on. They had more practical ways of doing things with common things around them.
Yeah. They were definitely more intelligent in the sense of like they understood more what I feel like it is to be a human.
Yeah.
Where I feel like today's world, we are very disconnected as human beings to being a human being. Like,
fair enough.
I think it's something that a lot of people don't ever think of. Is it like, what does it mean to be a human being? Like, what does it mean to be who I am, and how I'm even here, and how this is even a thing, and how is anything, and why is anything,
and back in the day they used to write that all over the walls everywhere.
and funny enough, I believe like that, like those cultures that they are discovering and then actually finding more evidence, so to say, that it existed.
Yeah.
Because for
And
years
it was a lot more
the idea
than
of
we
it,
thought, of people running around with sticks.
yeah, like the idea of
like,
it was shunned upon for years, and because there was no sort of proof, and now that they're starting to actually get proof of these things,
yeah,
and bring it out, and I feel like,
well, even that Ice Age thing or whatever, the 13,000 years of something.
yeah.
Like Graham Hancock was saying, people thought he was fucking crazy his whole life.
Oh,
Chasing
yeah.
this thing until science said, there was
they proved it.
There was something going on here that happened about them.
Yeah, they
get
called
this
him
guy telling you a whole story about what happened, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oak was onto something.
Yeah, it's
Should have
crazy.
listened
Dude.
in the first place.
Yeah, for like 20 years of his life, like people told him
Yeah.
he was crazy, and he was like frowned upon in the community, and it's crazy, but to me it's something that makes so much more sense than anything else. And like the fact
Especially
that
with what's existing here that we can still see of the past.
Yeah.
Like those oaks knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
You can't fuck around here. Like
Yeah.
these oaks definitely knew what was going on.
Yeah. And like I feel like that's something that has to do with us, like physically and mentally. Like I feel like their way, from what we can understand, these advanced civilizations were like, is that they didn't have the same things. Like they were different.
Yeah.
And that was because obviously their way of living, but also like your mind is a very powerful thing, and your mind affects how your body is.
Yeah.
And
100%. Like even, I don't know if you watched the last one of this with me and Marco.
I didn't watch the whole thing.
Oh,
I haven't finished it.
Yeah. We're also talking a little bit about the mind and how powerful it is to actually, and how much it affects your progress. Like him with his back, his mind affected his progress more
than anything else. Yeah, no, 100%.
Like in his mind has helped him move so much further forward just from that. Like not major things, his mind.
Yeah. But
and you'd think as something physical, it's confusing to think about it in that aspect, but it contributes a shit ton confusingly.
Yeah, but I mean, your mind is controlling everything, like your entire body subconsciously. Like when you get like a cut and your skin has to now repair itself and
something is
close.
doing that.
Your brain's telling your body to do that,
Yeah.
you know. So why
It's
can't
running
it
background
tell
processes
your
for
body
it,
to
yeah.
do anything else? Like,
No, fair enough. And if I can be like, hey, leg move.
I mean, there's so
Like-
many people that like had
Yeah.
like bad illnesses or terrible diseases or whatever, or defects or whatever. They had something
Yeah.
that was potentially deadly or was going to affect them for the rest of their life.
Mm.
People that would have had the exact same thing, some people make it through it and other people don't. And
Yeah.
a lot of the time that the people that do have a very strong mindset and a
Yeah.
very, very positive, very...
What? So do you think back in the day, people were maybe more capable of placeboing themselves? Not like placebo, it's just like they don't need a placebo even to make them feel like they've done that thing, that they can just move forward a little bit quicker.
Yeah, 100%. Because they
their
just...
technological advancements in like the time frames they try and explain to us, obviously carbon dating or whatever the fuck that they use, I don't believe in. Because you can't tell something's 10,000 years until you've experienced 10,000 years. You can tell me any other way, but yeah.
Yeah,
I
get what you...
Unless you like Graham Hancock, which can say something like that, then something verifies that in a different way completely. Then it makes it a little bit more clear.
But his stuff was studied. He studied the Earth and looked at how the landscapes and stuff were shaped, and that proved that that area or that thing was different at that time and what could have caused that.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is like in the time frames that these things like groups existed, because like somewhat they can track the movement of settlements from where these people were in the first place, so you can sort of tell how long they spent in each phase.
Yeah.
But it's still so
Do you know
confusing
the
to
thing is with
comprehend
that,
how much they achieved within those phases.
but you remember that those phases that they've sort of, from what I could be completely under correction, but those were already after shit hit the fan. That was not tracking the previous advanced civilizations.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't, because everything was destroyed.
Yeah.
So it was the people that were left on this earth that then started completely over.
Yeah.
They could track those movements and see how they moved and how they progressed from there.
Yeah.
But they couldn't track and figure out how did the advanced civilizations come to the way that they were.
Yeah.
They couldn't track that. Or from what I know or understand, is that hasn't been like presented
you can't
yet.
actually see how
Because
they
it was
achieved what they achieved.
because there was nothing.
And there's writing on the wall, but also we don't know what that stuff means. It could mean
Yeah.
anything abstract or this or that,
Yeah.
or we could be reading it wrong, or so any explanation that they might have for these things is still also like we don't know.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so interesting as well, is it could have been anything that was going on there. But then when we see, like, let's say the pyramids, but then there's also like explanations of the pyramids and like, let's say the writings on the walls where you can tell that it was changed throughout different dynasties, the granite. But still, like, in the first place, there's pyramids there. The fuck? like,
yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Like, those oaks are doing some things, and then there's random holes in there, just like a tiny hole that people can't explain, and then a room on the other side of the hole that also people cannot explain.
Yeah.
Like,
no, there's a lot of crazy things about it, dude.
And so whatever the fuck they were doing to do their things, it was somewhat effective as well as non-physical, to the extent that we can't find anything that they did it with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. But I mean, maybe it's just a case of because we don't or can't find any sort of explanation on how that stuff was done.
That's the thing.
But you remember that stuff was also destroyed.
Yeah.
If they had equipment or whatever.
A lot of villages and things were apparently pillaged a lot back then. Like,
yeah.
would come and take all your shit and take everything. Like, there wasn't a lot of shit to go around.
Yeah.
So oaks would take everything and move it around. So fuck.
Yeah, they're on a different wavelength, and I feel like that's where.
So do you think like the general thought of most like ancient or older generations of beings being cavemen with sticks or whatever is probably incorrect?
No, not at
Do you
all.
think they were possibly more advanced than we are now?
Yeah,
Or
I feel like there
like, do you
was
think to
this.
them we'd be the guy with the sticks,
I
but
don't know.
just our stick is a cell phone that they wouldn't understand? Like,
Yeah, you see, they were very different, and you never know. Maybe they had technology like we did, but I feel like they were more advanced, like that. What I was saying earlier, or I couldn't even remember explain, but they were more human beings than what we are, in a sense of that they were more connected to the earth and understanding the earth and
okay, yeah, fair
understanding
enough, definitely.
all of that than to what we are, because of what they found that these guys had as technology and the things that they were doing and things that were achieved then that we can't even do today.
Yeah.
But and it's unexplainable. Like, how was that even possible?
Mm.
But it's because they were somewhat just
More in tune.
more in tune
Well, somewhat like a Nikola Tesla, like that guy figured out so much because he figured out enough of one thing to, or so many things to move in one place, and
yeah.
then stayed in tune with it the whole time. Like he spoke about frequencies and all of these other things. Like,
Yeah,
so he could have been quite in tune with the universe, and that's maybe why he achieved so much.
yeah, very possibly, dude. Very possibly, and that is a thing. Like they were just more in tune with everything around them, and I feel more in tune with the human mind and understanding how that was. But there was definitely, with that advanced civilization, Neanderthals existed. We, in the world we live in today, we have advanced civilizations, and we still have civilizations that we declare as almost Neanderthalic. That's I think I just made up that word, but like that are more, you know, primal, like
But that's even
civilizations.
like,
It still exists.
Yeah.
There are still islands out there where the people are literally
that North
like,
Sentinel Island, dude. That's people living in the. You can't even tell which. You could
yeah,
say they're living in the 90s or they're living in the thousands or.
yeah.
They far beyond any number we can comprehend of how far back they could be.
Yeah.
Because they could be 200,000 years back, even with the way they live.
Yeah. So,
Like,
but that still exists today,
Yeah.
and that existed then still.
Yeah.
And like that's my whole like little own idea of the missing link that they always talk about. Like, oh, you know, how did we go from that to that?
Mhm.
Is because there was like during that time where things, I'm sure it happened before, but there were the Neanderthals, and I definitely think that the advanced civilizations like procreated with the Neanderthals, and that's where the whole missing link comes in. Is that there was a whole nother.
So what? It was like two different species that evolved and then interacted with each other,
Yeah.
which is confusing the actual process.
Exactly.
Because they
Exactly.
existed within the same space.
Because there is.
Because there's also an argument that this advanced civilization completely wiped out the Neanderthals, which is apparently what happened. But there's a high chance that people were also.
Yeah, because they definitely.
Because not everyone was a gangster or something. I'm sure there was
There
normal
was
people
definitely
back then that would be like, okay, that's a dude and this is a chick.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
There was definitely a stage where they were, from what I can remember, is when like the world was a doomsday, and the people that were left from the advanced civilization had to survive. Like, if you have to think now, like how many people from today you take from like a busy city that live the city life, and you know they live in today's day and age, and put them in out there in the world where they're nothing. They've got to fend for themselves. They've got to get food.
Dude, the
you know,
thing is, some people
literally
won't
doomsday.
survive 4 hours without
Exactly.
their phone. Never mind fucking
So
trying to
these,
find food.
yeah, they don't know how to do that, right?
It's a
Because
different
it's a
existence
different
altogether.
existence.
Yeah.
But they then interacted with the Neanderthals because that's how the Neanderthals lived day to day. That was just part of their day. The world went a bit of shit. Now they just got to walk a bit further to find something to eat. You know, it just became a little more difficult, but the way of living stayed the same. So they interacted with them so that in order to survive, they used the Neanderthals to keep alive until they could regenerate the civilization.
Well, that's the thing, is as fancy as you can make a civilization, if it's unsustainable, it's unsustainable.
Yeah.
You just got a whole bunch more shit to deal with now.
Exactly. But they didn't know how to fend for themselves, so they got them to do that. And in exchange, they would actually then teach the Neanderthals certain things.
Yeah.
And so they must, in that aspect, they were definitely interacting. And through that, I don't know, in all of our human history, whenever two species or groups of people came together that were never together, they ended up procreating at some point.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, if you're similar enough,
through war, through everything, it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, the Europeans coming into Africa, everywhere. I mean, we live in a world today where there are so many different types of races and cultures and all of this, and so many different things that never existed before.
Yeah, dude, it's trippy because they keep on. It's somewhat like creating new cultures in a way, which will one day become the new cultures in a way.
Yeah.
If it's also passing on genes that could be stronger. Like it could be.
It also creates new genes. It creates a whole new
That's the thing,
species of human beings.
It's hard to comprehend all of that, actually.
It's crazy.
And also when you think about how many cultures have lived and gone in the past and then became where we are now and our ancestors or whatever. It's hard to imagine where it would go from here.
Yeah.
Could be anywhere or anyone or anything. Yeah.
You could be pig people in 50 years.
Well, I hope not.
No, but but I mean, like, it's crazy how things changing.
Yeah.
Before it was like a more of a natural way, but like today you hear of all sorts of like crazy things,
genetic mutations
and all these weird things.
CRISPRs and all. Fuck. There's odd directions it can go in, but I honestly think we're gonna sort our shit out.
You think so?
Yeah.
In what way?
As in, people are, a lot of us are like, this is not working. This kind of thing, and we're gonna have to make a plan to sort our shit out.
Yeah, it's gonna change.
It's pretty much
definitely gonna change.
That, like,
the world's never been the same, not once in its life.
Yeah, it always changes. Like, even I was watching something the other day that like Einstein or whatever, or so one of these smart motherfuckers in their generation, they said, no, it wasn't. It was the Oaks that made the Constitution or some shit. Okay, wait, I'm confused. But anyway, these Oaks were saying in their lifetime they changed the banking systems, the civil system, the identity system. They changed so much. And this is only in the last 200 years or so. It's not ridiculously long ago. So why can't we change it in our lifetime to a better direction or
no, it's definitely going to change. We just don't know.
This one did not work for us.
Yeah.
Like.
No, but that's basically what human history's been like. It's like, okay, you know, we used to live like this, and then we realized it's not going to work, so we changed.
Yeah.
And now we live like this.
Yeah.
And it's going to keep on changing.
Yeah.
It'll never ever stop. So what change is something that we have to
become comfortable with.
No.
And actively take part in. Well, comfortable with the sense that it's going to happen, and taking part is you've got to take part because it's happening.
Yeah, you've got to. You've always got to be almost. You can never be prepared, but you've got to always expect it.
You got to know how to adapt.
It's not even that, because sometimes you won't know how to adapt.
But that's the thing, is hopefully you'll have enough by that point to adapt.
I feel like it's a case someone said to me, like, you may never be ready for change, and you never might know how to deal with change, but you can never stop expecting change. The moment you stop expecting things to change and thinking that they're not going to change is the moment you're going to be like get stuck in a situation.
Yeah.
Things become a lot harder. So you need to always have that idea that things will, at some point, they're going to change.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it. Absolutely nothing. You can, and the moment you try to fight that, you're going to find problems with whatever it is. So you've got to constantly expect the change to be there and be ready for it in that sense, that know that it's coming, but you might not be ready for what is coming or know how to deal with it in the situation. But at least don't be closed off to the idea that it's not going to change, because it will. It will always change.
Yeah.
Everything will always change.
Yeah. It's just a matter of time. Each different thing has its own time scale to how it works and how it'll evolve. And
Yeah.
But yeah, I also believe in that. Like a lot of things change, especially even just in general life. Like the way you see things when you're younger compared to where you get older, and then to where I'll see when I'm 40. It's gonna obviously change.
Yeah.
Like when I was 7, Oaks looked at me like you're a latte if you are 14 years old. Like,
Yeah.
this guy's a latte. Then when you're 14, a 21-year-old looks like you're a latte.
Yeah.
Then when you're 21, a 30-year-old looks at you like you're a latte. And then when you're 30, 41, like a 40-year-old is looking at you like you're a latte. It's always like there's so many evolutions within life, within a couple of years or even months or days.
Yeah.
That it could be anything that happens.
But it's going to happen.
Yeah,
That's
and you're
what
going to
you
keep
on
growing.
remembering.
And you're going to keep
It's
on
going to
moving
happen.
forward. Yeah. And as you grow, you'll understand a lot more of what's going on.
Yeah.